Start planting the divine tree from Douluo. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 51. Take the blue silver emperor away. The emerald green power of wood release appeared in his palm again. Fang Yuan gently shook his left hand, like bait on a fishhook, towards the blue silver emperor. The blue silver emperor excitedly stretched out its green leaves, wanting to blend with the tree again and absorb the power of wood release. However, just when it was about to touch it, Fang Yuan turned his wrist and took back the power of wood release. The blue silver emperor kept shaking the green leaves, and Fang Yuan's anxious look made the corners of his mouth rise. There is no free lunch in the world. If you want my wood release power, you have to pay a price. Give it to me. I want. The exchange of mental power was extremely short, but the desire made Fang Yuan smile on his face more wanton. He stretched out his hand, and the power of wood release was not released, but even such an ordinary palm made the grass leaves of the blue silver emperor begin to shake. She bent the grass leaves, like a pet, rubbing Fang Yuan's palm very intimately, and the golden light flowing on her body even pushed away the small mounds around her body, revealing her roots. This situation made Fang Yuan laugh. He spread his hands, and released the power of wood release to wrap the blue silver emperor from the small mound. Feeling the green breath of life, the blue silver emperor was not helpless at all when its roots were separated from the soil. Instead, it took the initiative to wrap around the Ouroboros bracelet on Fang Yuan's wrist, turning into a string of blue gold bracelets made of blue silver grass. Judging from the appearance alone, no one would have thought that this Ouroboros bracelet woven with blue silver grass was a 100,000-year-old soul beast, right? Exclamation mark. Fang Yuan laughed loudly, jumped up, and left the stone chamber. Holy Sun. The killing knight called out softly. Fang Yuan smiled and nodded to the killing knight. Sorry for bothering the captain. That guy probably didn't notice it. Holy Sun, don't worry. That guy's aura is far away from us. He should be escorting his son out of Notting City. It seems that the Holy Sun has already got the so-called opportunity. As long as we leave, that guy will definitely not be able to find it. Seeing Fang Yuan's happy expression, the killing knight also smiled. Very good. It was naturally the best that Tang Rishan didn't find it. I just don't know what his expression would be when he sent Tang San to Soto City and found that his wife and soul bone in the waterfall were gone after he came back. Fang Yuan laughed in his heart and nodded to the killing knight. His fingers gently stroked the bracelet. The blue silver emperor stretched out a green leaf and gave feedback. Feeling the touch from his fingertips, Fang Yuan's smile became even bigger. Originally, this time was just to seize the 100,000-year soul bone, but he didn't expect there would be such a surprise. Although the blue silver emperor's soul power was completely dissipated due to the sacrifice to Tang Heo, coupled with the blockade for more than 10 years, she may only be a soul beast of more than 10 years, at most 100 years old. But she is the blue silver emperor. No matter how weak her soul power is, no matter how low her age is, her identity as the blue silver emperor is unshakable. Possessing it undoubtedly means absolute control and support for the blue silver grass clan. Fang Yuan still remembers that there is a patch of blue silver grass in this Xingdao Great Forest, and in the grass, there is an 85,000-year-old blue silver king. In the original work, Tang San only has the martial spirit of the blue silver emperor, and the blue silver king is willing to let his subordinates come to sacrifice. He directly copied the blue silver emperor over, so wouldn't the 85,000-year-old blue silver king sacrifice himself? Fang Yuan thought greedily in his heart, and soon returned to the carriage with the killing knight. Holy Sun. Holy Sun. Seeing Fang Yuan coming back, Nightingale called out excitedly, and the big and small cats followed suit. Although the two girls were a little reserved, their attitudes made Fang Yuan extremely satisfied. In addition to the full harvest tonight, Fang Yuan waved his hand and carried the three girls to the carriage. The killing knight smiled and skillfully wrapped the carriage with soul power, giving it enough shock absorption and sound insulation. At the same time, he set up the carriage and laughed loudly. Holy Sun, then we have to set off. Ha ha ha, let's go. The target is Soto City. 3 days later, Soto City. During the journey, that was like a picnic, Fang Yuan and his party came to this city. As an important city of the Kingdom of Berak, Soto City, known as the granary of the Kingdom of Berak, is extremely prosperous. Soto City is much larger than Notting City, and naturally much more lively. On the streets, patrolling soldiers can be seen everywhere, and the bustling flow of people is constantly shuttling. It's very prosperous. Fang Yuan got off the carriage, looked at the surrounding environment, turned his head, and said to ZHU Zuking, "Little cat, I heard that, after you left the ZHU family, you wanted to come here to study. What's it called? Shrek Academy? Yeah." ZHU Zuking nodded and said softly, "It is said that the admission requirements of Shrek Academy are extremely harsh, and the talents and qualities of the students are extremely high. It is a very outstanding academy, and your fiancé is also studying here, right?" Fang Yuan chuckled, looked at ZHU Zuking who was holding ZHU Zuan's little hand nervously, and shook his head with a smile. "I don't care about fiancé or anything, because you only belong to me now, and everything before is all in the past. Son of God. I know what you are thinking." Fang Yuan gently lifted ZHU Zuking's chin and smiled, but in fact, humans are an extremely special kind of creatures. They always have the mentality of not turning back until they hit the wall. Since you are already mine, then I will naturally fulfill that thought in your heart. My people can't think about other people in their hearts. Okay. ZHU Zuking pursed her lips, her cheeks flushed, and nodded slightly. In the past few days, perhaps because the harvest in these few days is too rich, Fang Yuan, who is extremely happy, can be said to have fully demonstrated the demeanor that a villain should show. In the carriage, there are music and dance every night, and joy every day. Although I don't know what the big and small cats think, Fang Yuan can guarantee that the bodies of the two women are already in his shape. However, Fang Yuan doesn't mind taking both the body and the mind at the same time. Calculating the time, Damu Bay in this period can be said to be the most decadent period. Before meeting Tang San, Damu Bay was almost intoxicated with wine and sex all day long. Relying on the money and soul power in his hands, he can be said to be constantly drinking and drinking. ZHU Zuking in the original book almost collapsed when she saw Damu Bay like this. If it weren't for the existence of other Shrek, she would probably have despaired long ago. At this moment, what Fang Yuan has to do is to make ZHU Zuking's heart completely turn to him after getting her body. Let's find a place to stay first. The environment here is pretty good. We can go out for a walk and spend some money later. Fang Yuan snorted twice, threw 2 gold soul coins to the fruit vendor nearby. He picked up 2 oranges. "Boss, is there any famous restaurant here?" Chapter 52 Check in Holy Land, Rose Hotel. Famous restaurant? Looking at the 2 gold soul coins on the stall, the fruit shop owner was a little surprised. Who is so generous? In the Douluo world, 10 gold soul coins are enough for an ordinary family to live on for a whole year. These 2 gold soul coins are almost his income for half a month. This young man is handsome, his clothes are luxurious, and he is followed by a housekeeper and maid. It is obvious that he is not an ordinary person, not a child of a big family, but a young master of a noble family. Looking at this scene, he should be a guy who comes out to travel, eat, drink and have fun. As for the restaurant, the fruit shop owner is obviously a master who observes words and expressions. However, after a few glances, he has established an identity for Fang Yuan in his heart. The fruit shop owner calmly put the gold soul coins on the stall into his pocket and smiled at Fang Yuan. "Does this sir want to eat or stay? Since you are here to play, you should eat first and then stay." Fang Yuan said with a smile. I was inconsiderate. The fruit shop owner said, "Since you want both, I have 2 recommendations. One is the Soto restaurant in the center of our Soto city. It is the most luxurious and famous restaurant in our Soto city. Whether it is food or accommodation, it is the best choice. There are guests coming in an endless stream every day. Those who have been there say it is good. But Soto restaurant is located in the center of the city, which is a prime area. There are many customers on weekdays. At this point, it may be." The fruit shop owner pointed to the scorching sun above his head and smiled a little embarrassedly. Obviously, it was noon at this moment. If the Soto restaurant was really as good as the owner said, it must be full of guests, and every seat would be full. What about the other one? Nightingale asked impatiently. The fruit shop owner smiled apologetically and said hurriedly, as for the other one, it has to be the Rose Hotel in our Soto city. Rose Hotel? Fang Yuan raised his eyebrows slightly, a little surprised. Yes, sir. This Rose Hotel is one of the best hotels in Soto city. It not only has an excellent location, but also has good service. The most important thing is, the owner of the fruit shop suddenly lowered his voice and said to Fang Yuan, there are still many fun things to do. As he spoke, he kept blinking at Fang Yuan, revealing a smile that all men understand. Fang Yuan was a little helpless. He was just thinking about finding a place to stay and have a good time. As for slapping Dame Yubei in the face, he could just go to Shrek Academy. Who would have thought that this fruit shop owner was actually such a wise guy? Sir, just walk along this road and you will arrive in about a few blocks. Looking at Fang Yuan's expression, the owner of the fruit shop smiled and said, the building is very conspicuous, with golden and red colors and gorgeous decorations. I guarantee you will see it at a glance. Okay. Fang Yuan nodded. After all, he had traveled through Douluo, so how could he not come to this famous scenic spot to check in? Following the direction pointed by the boss, the 5 people walked and shopped all the way. It didn't take long for them to arrive in front of the Rose Hotel. The overall color of this hotel is rose red, and the style of the hotel is also like a rose. It is extremely eye-catching among these urban buildings. When you walk into the Rose Hotel, the first thing you feel is a fragrant rose scent. The refreshing fragrance is really refreshing. The hotel's interior has only 3 colors, white, silver and rose red, all of which are warm colors, warm and unique, and coupled with the current elegant environment, it is easy to give people a warm feeling. This place. The Killing Knight took a look at the Rose Hotel. He was well informed and experienced. He strode forward and came to the front desk of the hotel first. Open 2 rooms for me, one of which must be luxurious. Sir, I'm sorry, we only have 1 room left. The front desk clerk subconsciously blurted out her professional lines, but when she saw the Killing Knight's unfriendly look and Fang Yuan and the other 4 people who were talking and laughing behind her, she understood instantly. Please wait a moment, 2 luxury suites, please see. The Slaughter Knight glanced at the waiter in displeasure. He was so tactless. Didn't he see that I came alone? He opened a luxury suite for me. What? Do you have fast food here? Wait, looking at the hotel's decoration and the waiter's skilled attitude, maybe there is. Hiss. Ahem. The Slaughter Knight coughed. What a joke. I'm a 95 level titled Douluo. I have everything I want. How can I eat fast food in such a place? No, just change mine to a standard room. This. Okay, please wait a moment. The waiter looked at the Slaughter Knight strangely, but still accepted the purse sensibly, opened 2 rooms, and handed the golden room card and key to the Slaughter Knight. Here is your key. Your rooms are rose love on the top floor and green bamboo loft next to it. I hope you can spend a perfect holiday in this hotel. The Slaughter Knight nodded, took the key and room card, turned around and followed Fang Yuan and the other 4 who were late. Son, this is the room. Okay. Fang Yuan took out the room card and key and winked at the Killing Knight. Captain, have fun too, son. The Killing Knight looked helpless. Fang Yuan smiled and took the 3 women upstairs. The Killing Knight behind him hesitated for a moment and came to the front desk again. Do you have fast food here? The Rose Hotel is worthy of being the Rose Hotel. According to the room card, Fang Yuan found his room, Rose Love, and in addition to Rose Love, the house numbers in front are Blue Enchantress, Pink Tenderness, Yellow Sincerity, White Innocence, Green Farewell, etc. Rose Love is at the innermost of these houses, and next to Rose Love is the famous Red Ocean in the original book. Fang Yuan opened the door and walked in with the 3 women. The room of Rose Love is very large, and the living room in front alone has an area of more than 50 square meters. In the hall, all the furniture is silver, with exquisite carvings. The big pink carpet is covered with embossed pink rose patterns, and in the center of the hall is a huge pink peach heart made of large roses. The area of the entire peach heart is nearly 2 square meters, which requires at least thousands of roses to complete. Hanging on it is a slender silk ribbon with a line of words written on it. 1001. You are my only one. In addition to the 1001 roses, elegant vases are placed all over the room, each with pink roses in it. The rich rose fragrance is spread in every corner of the room, which is intoxicating. Fang Yuan walked in, and the faces of the three women behind him had already turned red like tomatoes. With such a room layout, how could they not understand? Ladies and gentlemen, it's getting late. Fang Yuan glanced at the bright sun outside, waved his soul power lightly, and closed the curtains. It's time to go to bed. Chapter 53, Tang Sect's Unique Skills. 100,000-year-old rabbits. They are all mine. The next day, at noon, the tiredness from the night's joy gradually faded away. After dinner, Fang Yuan took the three girls and strolled around Soto City. It was true that he came to cause trouble for Damu Bei this time, but this did not affect his eating, drinking and having fun. Besides, he had other plans for those guys in Shrek Academy. Although Fang Yuan looked down on Shrek Academy and even thought that they were a waste academy that misled the students. But it must be said that the power possessed by some of these guys was still worthy of Fang Yuan's attention. For example, the distraction control method of Ningrangrong, the little princess of the Seven Treasures glazed tile sect. Another example is the Tang sect's unique skills of the protagonist Tang San. Not bad. In fact, after awakening the Sharingan, Fang Yuan had already set his sights on Tang San's unique skills of the Tang sect. After all, as a Sharingan with the ability to copy, it would be a fool not to copy the soul skills. Unfortunately, after the awakening of the martial soul, Fang Yuan entered the slaughter city. Not to mention copying Tang San's unique skills of the Tang sect, he had never even seen Tang San a few times. The previous encounter in the spirit hall could barely be considered a meeting. Although Fang Yuan had already improved his combat skills to an extremely powerful level through the combat skills of countless fallen ones, he was still very interested in the tactics of the other world. After all, this Tang sect tactic was used by Tang San to awaken from the Dao Yi spirit and reach the level of the God King of the Dao Si divine realm. I just don't know when they will be in place. Fang Yuan muttered in his heart. He originally thought that Tang San would come to Soto City soon. After all, he waited for Tang San to leave Notting City before he slowly came to Soto City. But in the end, Tang San hadn't arrived yet. As for how Fang Yuan knew about it, according to the hotel service staff, the resident of the Red Ocean, one of the exclusive VIP suites of the Rose Hotel, is still that lustful tiger. You know, after Tang San came to Soto City, Damu Bei's long-term VIP of the Red Ocean was broken. But Fang Yuan was not in a hurry. Anyway, Rose Love was right next to the Red Ocean, so he could just wait and see. And that 100,000-year-old rabbit. To be honest, Fang Yuan had no feelings for that rabbit pretending to be young. Not only was it rude and bad, but at such a young age, it smelled the blue silver aura on Tang San and clung to him. What about sleeping on a shared bed and a quilt? A 100,000-year-old rabbit and a beast lover from another world. Don't say it. These two people are really a good match. But the soul ring and soul bone of the rabbit are a good choice. In the original novel, the rabbit was sacrificed to Tang San, bringing him two skills, nothingness and explosive 8-segment throw. Nothingness can defend against any physical attack, and soul power attacks can also be immune to 50%, which is a top-notch means of protection, while explosive 8-segment throw is the highest level attack of Xiao Wu's soul materialization and 8-segment throw. Not to mention, the 100,000-year-old soul bone gave Tang San a blessing. Whether it is teleportation or invincible golden body, they are undoubtedly the most top-level skills. If Fang Yuan can get them, it will definitely greatly improve Fang Yuan's combat effectiveness. It's just not easy to do it. At this stage, Tang Heo must be paying attention to Tang San all the time, especially after Tang Heo found out that his wife and the 100,000-year soul bone were gone. He must be fully committed to his son. So, if Fang Yuan wants to touch that rabbit, he will definitely run into Tang Heo. Damn it, at worst, we can just bump into each other. It's just a titled Douluo, who doesn't have it? Fang Yuan snorted and bought a few strings of candied horse from a street vendor and gave one string to each of the three women. Such a move immediately made the three women's emotions fluctuate. Little Nightingale also held the candied horse, full of love. This is the first gift the Holy Sun gave me. I didn't expect that there are shops selling soul guides in this Soto city. Fang Yuan looked at the shop next to him with some surprise. Through the door, he could clearly feel the soul power aura coming from those goods. Soul guides were extremely rare in the Douluo era, let alone being sold in batches. Except for the children of some big families and wealthy nobles, almost no one had them. Even if you want it, you will have to pay a high price. And there is such a shop in Soto City. It seems that the identity of the owner of this shop is extraordinary. Such a big deal is not something that ordinary people can afford. Wait, a shop selling soul guides in Soto City? Exclamation mark. Fang Yuan's sigh in his heart stopped abruptly, and he suddenly thought of a guy. Looking around, Fang Yuan saw a guy wearing black framed glasses, sitting on a recliner with his eyes closed in the corner of the shop. Wide cheekbones, hooked nose, and a profiteer. My goodness, isn't this the founder of Shrek Academy, the profiteer Flanders of the flying corner of the former Golden Iron Triangle? A shop selling soul guides. Oh, this is rare. Do you want to go in and take a look, Saint's son? Nightingale asked curiously, and the ZHU sisters beside him also showed curiosity. As the daughters of the ZHU family, they naturally lived a life of luxury since childhood. Douluo City is one of the most prosperous cities in Douluo Continent, but even there, soul guides can basically only be obtained from auctions. In this small place, there is actually a store that sells them directly. Holy Sun, soul guides are very valuable. They are rarely seen even at auctions. This store is ordinary, and not in a prime location. I'm afraid it's a black shop. ZHU Zuan spoke softly and reminded. Black shop. This adjective is really appropriate. Isn't Flanders a real profiteer and black shop owner? However, you understand to think about this Holy Sun so quickly. Fang Yuan raised ZHU Zuan's chin, looked at her gradually red cheeks, and whispered in her ear, when we go back, this Holy Sun will reward you well. Holy Sun. Although ZHU Zuan's cheeks were red and her ears were pink, she did not shyly avoid it. Instead, she took the initiative to hold Fang Yuan's arm. It's my duty to help the Holy Sun. Fang Yuan snorted and patted ZHU Zuan with satisfaction, causing ZHU Zu King to blush. The little nightingale gnashed her teeth and said, little slut, you actually seduced the Holy Sun. Okay, no matter what kind of store it is, can you still blackmail me? Fang Yuan looked at the two shy girls and the nightingale who was gritting her teeth and puffing her mouth, smiled heartily, and walked into it with the three girls. Although Fang Yuan did not bring the killing knight with him this time, Fang Yuan could still feel the breath of the killing knight in secret. There is a level 95 title Douluo to protect me, and you, a little soul saint, dare to cheat me? I'll give you a Zao Wuji nose and face swollen experience card. Chapter 54. In business, it is all about mutual consent. Flanders' shop is not big, and the decoration is ordinary. It looks a little dim inside. There is no counter in the shop. There are some items hanging on 3 walls. They all look very old, and don't look valuable at all. The 3 girls have seen a lot of things. The 2 sisters of the ZHU family were born into aristocratic families. They usually live in good conditions. Naturally, they don't like these things. Although the little nightingale has been in the killing city since she was a child, as a killing messenger, the nightingale has a superior status in the killing city. What has she not seen? The things in this small grocery store are obviously not enough for the 3 girls. It's a low quality soul guide. Little Nightingale picked up a bracelet-shaped soul guide with a look of disdain on her face. It only has the appearance of soul power, but the internal structure has no soul guide function at all. Let alone using it, it will probably break once the soul power is infused into it. Yes, this is basically all such junk. ZHU Zuan nodded, looked around and shook his head and said, let's go, Saint. The value of the things here is not even as good as the junk collection station on the corner. Even ZHU Zuking shook her head, put down the soul guide in her hand, and whispered, it's very ordinary. It's really some worthless garbage. Fang Yuan played with the soul guide in his hand, put it down, and picked up a piece of transparent crystal that was not too eye-catching. But since I'm here, I still have to spend some money. Boss, how much is this thing? Flanders in the corner heard Fang Yuan and others so unscrupulously evaluate that his things were all junk, and he was already unhappy. Seeing Fang Yuan's wealthy appearance, he picked up the crystal and snorted, saying, 100 gold soul coins. 100 gold soul coins? The ZHU sisters were stunned, and Nightingale's voice suddenly rose. She glanced at the crystal in Fang Yuan's palm, then looked at Flanders' profiteer face, revealing a trace of anger. You profiteer are so shameless. The Holy Sun bought your things because he felt sorry for you, and there was a wall of unsellable rotten goods. So he wanted to take care of your business, but you dared to take the opportunity to ask for a high price? This broken crystal is not even as good as a toy glass ball in the hands of a child on the street. You dared to ask for 100 gold soul coins. What? Are you being taken advantage of by our Holy Sun? Holy Sun? Although Nightingale's curse made Flanders frown slightly, after all, what she said was the truth, and it was the address that caught Flanders' attention. Just like ZHU Zuan before, because of the existence of the Spirit Hall, people on the Douluo Continent are extremely sensitive to the title of Holy Sun. Flanders also thought of the Spirit Hall first. When I buy and sell things, it is important that both parties are willing. If you think the price of my 100 gold soul coins is too high, just don't buy it. Flanders snorted and looked at Fang Yuan and said, but my things are more delicate. If you break them, you have to pay the price. Interesting. Fang Yuan played with the crystal in his hand. When he was in the slaughter city, he basically relied on robbing. This scene of bargaining with profiteers made him miss it. However, this feeling is very uncomfortable. Here are 100 gold soul coins. Fang Yuan casually took out a purse from his pocket and threw it to Flanders, then looked around the walls. Also, I would like to ask, Mr. Soul Saint, how much do you think these so-called soul guides in your room are worth? Soul Saint? The three women looked surprised and looked at Flanders in disbelief. This look was not because they were shocked by Flanders' strength, but because they were puzzled that such a despicable profiteer could actually be a soul saint. Even Nightingale, who had seen many despicable and evil fallen people, looked at Flanders with some contempt. It was really embarrassing to look at him, and tried to cover up her embarrassment with coughing. Why does this little brother want to buy these things in my store? Let me tell you, the things in my store are not cheap. If you are going to buy, no, I'm not interested in buying these rubbish. Fang Yuan shook his head. Let's go. After that, regardless of Flanders who seemed to have something else to say, Fang Yuan walked straight out of the door with the three women. Welcome to visit next time, little brother. Flanders waved his hand, and when Fang Yuan walked out of the store, his face suddenly became serious. He is just a level 39 soul master, but he can see my strength and the Holy Sun. Could it be that he is from the Spirit Hall? No, there is no Holy Sun in the current Spirit Hall, only Holy Daughters. They should not be from the Spirit Hall. But then again, except for the slightly more mature woman, these people should be only about 10 years old. At such a young age, they have such strength. I should recommend Shrek to them. Oh, I made a mistake. Flanders shook his head in annoyance. These guys are all rich. They are dressed in luxurious clothes and carry soul guides. If they can join the academy, the funding problem of the academy will definitely be properly solved. No, I have to fight for it. Flanders muttered, and after making up his mind, he turned around and followed Fang Yuan. However, before he left the store, a figure suddenly appeared at the door of his store. No more. The shop is closed. Flanders, who was thinking about how to get Fang Yuan and the others into the academy, waved his hand and was about to close the door, but a pair of slightly rough hands grabbed the door. Flanders frowned slightly and wanted to close the door, but found that his strength could not shake the door at all. His face was still slightly stiff with the thought of how to fool Fang Yuan. You know, although Flanders is a profiteer, he is also a level 78 soul saint. Creaky. The door slowly closed under Flanders' resistance, but Flanders did not leave the shop, but was pushed back into the shop. Who are you? Flanders looked at the black-robed old man in front of him with an ugly expression. At the same time, he completed his martial spirit possession in the first time. The 7 soul rings moved up and down around his body, flashing a dazzling light, especially the 3 black 10,000-year soul rings, which looked even more amazing and deep. Just a customer who wants to buy something. The killing knight slowly raised his face, and a crimson glow spread over his body. At the same time, 2 yellow, 2 purple, and 5 black soul rings quietly stopped at different positions on the killing knight's body, completely covering his body. Seal. Title Douluo. Seeing the killing knight in front of him release 9 soul rings, Flanders' owl eyes shrank, and he felt like a stream of cold water was poured on his face, and his whole body shuddered. His body trembled, and he looked at the killing knight with fear. Crown, your majesty, don't joke around. If you have anything you like in this small place, just take it. Really? Then I'm not polite. The killing knight snorted coldly, took a step forward, and the surging soul power on his body suddenly roared out. Bang, bang, bang. The soul guides on the walls were instantly destroyed under the pressure of this powerful soul power, and Flanders himself was directly pressed to the ground by this soul power, unable to move at all. With a wave of his hand, the soul guide on Flanders fell into the hands of the killing knight. Buying and selling things is a matter of mutual consent. I clean up some garbage for you, and charging you this little reward is not too much, right? No, not too much. Flanders' profiteer face forced out an ugly smile. He knew that he was in trouble today. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 55 Dragonbeard Needle Tangson is finally here. Fang Yuan naturally knew about the interesting things between the killing knight and Flanders. After all, he could feel the breath of the killing knight flashing in the shop. As for what happened, Fang Yuan could also guess a little. Fang Yuan was very pleased that the killing knight vented his anger for him. This old captain was dedicated to him. Although there was a reason for his identity as the son of the city of killing, Fang Yuan felt that the killing knight was a teacher and friend to him. What? You mean the real teacher, the king of killing? Let's not talk about that guy who might be greedy for my body. After coming out of Flanders' black shop, Fang Yuan took the 3 women to stroll on the street for a long time, and after having a big meal, he returned to the Rose Hotel. But this time, he did not make love with the 3 women, but took the crystal out of the soul guide. Son, that profiteer dared to ask for 100 gold soul coins. Even if this crystal is the most precious amethyst among all crystals, it is not worth this price. Seeing Fang Yuan playing with the crystal bought from Flanders, Zhu Zuan couldn't help but say, besides, the surface of this crystal is uneven, the luster and brightness are also average, and there are many impurities inside. I'm afraid it's not worth even 10 gold soul coins. Nightingale and Zhu King also nodded. Obviously, although they were not as knowledgeable as Zhu Zuan, they could see the quality of this crystal. For spending 100 gold soul coins, the son of God was obviously cheated by the profiteer. Don't think that you can be lawless just because you are a soul saint. You dare to blackmail our son of God. Little Nightingale said angrily, rolling up her sleeves and thinking about giving Flanders a beating. Okay, that guy is a profiteer, but this time, he made a mistake. Fang Yuan rubbed Nightingale's little head and played with the crystal in his hand. This crystal is not a low quality product among crystals, but a pure, extremely high quality plate crystal. Plate crystal? The 3 women were puzzled. They knew a lot about jewelry, but they had never heard of plate crystals. Looking at Fang Yuan's smiling face, the 3 women speculated in their hearts. Could it be that this is some extremely precious and rare high-grade crystal? Fang Yuan smiled, but did not explain too much to the 3 women. First of all, it doesn't matter whether the 3 women understand this thing or not. Secondly, this is also suspected of being a waste of words. You move aside a little, use your soul power to form a barrier, and be careful not to get hurt. Fang Yuan played with the plate crystal in his hand for a while, and after a low shout, he activated his martial soul. The 3 women stepped aside with some doubts. Fang Yuan gathered soul power in his right palm and stared at the hair crystal in the palm of his hand with his scarlet Sharingan. The right palm clenched, and a dark golden soul power suddenly burst out. The 3 women only felt a dark golden light flash before their eyes, and the crystal in Fang Yuan's palm was directly kneaded into powder fragments. Under the power of the dark golden claws, this crystal was as fragile as tofu. The burst of soul power caused the crystal to break in an instant, and countless golden light spots surged out from the plate crystal, scattering in the bedroom with the peach heart bed. It seemed that the whole room was covered with a layer of golden luster. The three women were startled and hurriedly urged their soul power to block the golden light spots outside. Fortunately, the ricocheting force of those golden lights was not strong and did not cause any harm to them. The dazzling golden light gave people a dizzying feeling. The sound of ding dong was crisp and pleasant, some of which collided with the wall, some collided with the doors and windows, and some fell directly on the peach heart bed. Countless golden light spots made the whole bedroom covered with a layer of golden light. The crystal in Fang Yuan's palm turned into powder, slipped from his fingertips, and fell to the ground. When the golden light in the air gradually fell, the three women all found that there was a layer of golden light spots on the floor and bed in the room. Or, it was a layer of golden particles. The size of these golden particles was very uniform, about the same as rice grains, round and shining with a faint golden light. Zhu King picked up one of them curiously and squeezed it in her hand and found that the golden particle was slightly soft but very elastic. With her soul power, she couldn't squeeze it flat. This is the hair crystal. Fang Yuan smiled heartily, his eyes turned, and he easily locked all the hair crystals. With the soul power condensed, Fang Yuan quickly collected all the hair crystals and put them into the Ouroboros bracelet. In the original work, Tang San relied on his own unique Tang Sect technique to use this hair crystal to perform the dragon beard needle. Fang Yuan naturally doesn't know the so-called Tang Sect technique. But don't forget, Fang Yuan has a Sharingan. In the 5-village fight, when the Red Eye clan is mentioned, the Uchiha clan, what will everyone think of first? Sharingan? Fire escape? Rebellious clan? Powerful? These keywords are indeed the characteristics of the Uchiha clan. But there is a very small detail that is actually overlooked by many people. That is the Uchiha family's Shuriken expertise. Because of the existence of the Sharingan, the Uchiha clan's Shuriken technique can be said to be unique in the ninja world. The unique insight of the Sharingan can not only accurately lock the target, but also achieve the effect of prediction through the target's body movement. In the killing field of the Killing City, Fang Yuan used this feature of the Sharingan to deal with those fallen people when fighting. He also mastered many techniques and had superb skills. This can be seen from the fierce battles with the three women in the past few days and nights. The combination of body skills and techniques is the real power display of those who have the Sharingan. Therefore, when Fang Yuan found this hair crystal, his idea was very simple. While taking advantage of Tang San's opportunity, he also made a special shuriken for himself. Through the insight just now, this batch of hair crystals has nearly 20,000 pieces. If it is converted into shuriken, not to mention the cost issue, whether the soul guide can fit it is a big problem. Using hair crystals to replace it is much more convenient. Although the three women didn't understand what hair crystals were, they smiled when they saw Fang Yuan so happy. Fang Yuan, who was in a good mood, looked at the three women and thought about rewarding them, but at this moment, there was a knock on the door outside. Holy sun. It was the Killing Knight. Fang Yuan raised his eyebrows slightly. For some reason, he actually felt a trace of unbearable excitement from the Killing Knight's tone. What's wrong? Fang Yuan opened the door. The Killing Knight glanced at the three women behind him and whispered, "The boy you are concerned about has entered Soto City." And soul power condensed, the Killing Knight forced his voice into a line, and his slightly hoarse voice was filled with unconcealed excitement. Beside that boy, there is a transformed 100,000-year soul beast. Chapter 56 Daimyu Bay. The 100,000-year soul beast is of great importance because it is an existence that all soul masters cannot refuse. Even if the Slaughter Knight is already level 95, with full soul rings and unable to absorb soul rings, the soul bones of the 100,000-year soul beast are still invaluable. Moreover, even if the Slaughter Knight himself does not need it, he can still keep it in captivity or sell its information to those forces or individuals who are eager for 100,000-year soul beasts and make a fortune. Not to mention, Fang Yuan is here at the moment. The Slaughter Knight's eyes flashed with excitement, and he couldn't wait to sharpen his knife to attack the rabbit. "Captain, don't worry." To the surprise of the Slaughter Knight, Fang Yuan, who received the news, not only did not show a shocked look, but instead showed a mysterious smile. I actually knew about the existence of the rabbit a long time ago, but Captain, those two little guys clearly left Soto City together. Why do you only feel the breath of the rabbit now? The son of God means. The smile on the face of the slaughter knight froze. Ah, that guy has already regarded that rabbit as his own. Fang Yuan sneered. The reason why the killing knight did not detect the breath of the rabbit in Notting City was very simple. That is, Tang Heo covered up the breath of the rabbit. Tang Heo, that guy, has protected Tang San since he was a child. He must have noticed the rabbit and regarded it as his own. Although his own spirit rings are full, Tang San does not. That guy must have the idea of keeping it in captivity and even wants to get both money and people like the Blue Silver Emperor. From the original work, it is really like this. Tang San not only obtains Xiao Wu's spirit rings and spirit bones, but also Xiao Wu's body and mind in the end, just like his father. Both of them volunteered to sacrifice, and the father and son of Rishao and Rikeo made a lot of money. I have already planned that rabbit. Captain, please be patient and wait until the right time to make a move. Fang Yuan touched the Blue Silver Emperor wrapped around the Ouroboros bracelet and said calmly, but during this period, the captain may need to pay more attention. Although he is now in good combat power and has the killing crystal given to him by the King of Killing, he is basically just a soul master. Maybe he will make a breakthrough in a while, but he is at most a soul master. Tang Heo is a titled Douluo. He also has the most powerful weapon, the Clear Sky Hammer, as a martial soul, the Clear Sky Douluo. If he is targeted by that guy, I'm afraid something bad will happen. Don't worry, Holy Son. I came out this time to protect your safety. The Killing Knight said solemnly, although the god of killing is strong, I'm not weak either. If that guy really dares to attack the Holy Son, I will definitely stop him, even if I risk my life. Ha 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 ha, this is serious, this is serious. What is the strength of the captain, and what is the strength of that guy? If they really fight, the captain will definitely win. The Killing Knight shook his head with a bitter smile. The Holy Son really values me. That's for sure, the captain is invincible. Point 6. Looking at the two people who were playing dumb, the three women were obviously a little confused, and at this moment, everyone suddenly felt a clear fluctuation of soul power coming from downstairs. Here it comes. Fang Yuan chuckled and walked downstairs. Although the three women didn't understand what was happening, they followed Fang Yuan and walked downstairs. But before they walked down the stairs, everyone noticed that two figures with overflowing soul power collided with each other. The man on the left looked a little younger, about 12 or 13 years old, wearing a light blue suit, very neat, with a belt inlaid with 24 jade stones around his waist, and black semi-long hair barely hanging down to his shoulders, but his appearance was a little ordinary. Two light yellow spirit rings swayed around his body, and vines of blue-silver grass like black snakes were wrapped around his body, and his aura was restrained. The other one was completely different from him. The other guy was about 1.8 meters tall, with blonde hair and heterochromatic eyes, and 3 yellow, and purple spirit rings wrapped around his body. Perhaps because of his martial spirit, this guy's aura was extremely sharp. The two of them kept colliding and fighting in the lobby of the hotel, and the overflowing spirit power broke a lot of furniture, making the lobby a mess. Is it him? Seeing the guy with blonde hair and heterochromatic eyes, ZHU Zuking's expression turned cold. Obviously, she recognized Daemubei at a glance. The main reason was that Daemubei's appearance was too conspicuous. Blonde hair and heterochromatic eyes were rare, and with the white tiger martial spirit, only Daemubei looked like this. ZHU Zuking's eyes were full of coldness. ZHU Zuan, who was standing beside her, obviously noticed her sister's situation. She gently grabbed her hand and shook her head. Sister, white tiger martial spirit, blonde hair, heterochromatic eyes, Zuking, this guy couldn't be your fiancé, right? Just as the sisters exchanged glances, Fang Yuan used his soul power to suck the stool next to him over. After sitting down, he pulled ZHU Zuking into his arms. It's just that my soul power is a little low. Hey, store owner, how did these two quarrel? Fang Yuan held ZHU Zuking in his arms, pointed at the two people fighting, and asked curiously to the hotel manager who was hiding in the corner, fearing that he would be affected. The hotel manager looked at the two people fighting with some fear, and then looked at Fang Yuan, who was calm and composed, and swallowed his saliva. The quarrel started because of the room. Young Master Day is a long-term VIP here, but due to the negligence of the clerk, this room was sold to that customer, so this fuss happened. Long-term VIP. Fang Yuan showed a look of surprise. He rubbed the kitten, and pointed at the twins in the corner, who were looking at Dame Yubei with concern. This kid brings things like this to live with you every day. No, these twins should be young Master Day's new pickup. The hotel manager glanced at the fighting Tangsun and Dame Yubei, then lowered his voice, and said to Fang Yuan, young Master Day is handsome, rich, and a genius spirit master, just like you, young master. Naturally, he has batches of women around him. Hey, you can't say that. Fang Yuan shook his head repeatedly. This golden-haired boy is only better than me in changing women to play with. In terms of appearance, spirit power, and attitude towards love, how can he compare with me? As he spoke, Fang Yuan also pulled Zhu Zuan beside him into his arms, and the sisters hugged each other. The hotel manager's mouth twitched slightly, and he nodded repeatedly. Zhu Zuking's eyes became colder, and her jade hands were clenched tightly, and her fingertips became a little white, because of excessive force. I can feel your disappointment and anger. Fang Yuan hugged Zhu Zuking, moved his hand from her waist to her little hand, and whispered in her ear. But, relax. Chapter 57. Tang Sect's Secret Skills? They're all mine. The fight between Tangsun and Dame Yubei was not very good to watch. After all, they were just two low-level spirit masters with second and third rings. The crude use of spirit skills was comparable to the fighting methods of street thugs, and the use of their own spirit power and spirit skills. It can only be said to be extremely rubbish. Even Nightingale showed disdain. For a kid of this level, even the most rubbish fallen in the slaughter city would be better than them. But surprisingly, Fang Yuan was watching with relish. Is that the so-called ghost shadow? At some point, Fang Yuan's eyes had turned blood red, looking at the field. Tangsun, who kept dodging under Dame Yubei's fierce attack, and was amazed. Because of the dual gap in spirit power and martial spirit, Tangsun, who is currently at a low level, and has not awakened the Blue-Silver Emperor, is not as good as Dame Yubei in terms of strength, speed, or spirit skills. Therefore, in this battle, Tangsun can be said to be suppressed by Dame Yubei. But in Fang Yuan's eyes, it is not the case. In Fang Yuan's eyes, although Dame Yubei's attack was fierce, his attacks could not fall on Tangsun. Tangsun's speed was obviously not fast, but every time, Tangsun was able to dodge Dame Yubei's attack. That thin body was like a ghost, which was indeed quite interesting. It is worthy of being the secret book passed down by the Tang sect for many years. It is really good. Fang Yuan nodded with satisfaction. The trick is good, but this trick is mine now. No, Dame Yubei has been playing with women too much all day. A soul master of more than 30 levels can't beat Tangsun of level 29. White Tiger martial spirit is not a random killing of an unawakened blue-silver grass. How can it be restricted? The battle in the game soon changed from Dame Yubei suppressing Tangsun to Dame Yubei being toyed with and restricted by Tangsun's blue-silver grass. A soul master of more than 30 levels was toyed with by a great soul master of more than 20 levels. Zhu Zuking's face was getting worse and worse. Obviously, in her eyes, Dame Yubei has been indulging in wine and sex since he escaped from Xingluo. He has completely fallen and has completely forgotten her and their fate. Even Zhu Zuan sighed, looking at Dame Yubei with disgust and dissatisfaction. She turned her head to look at Fang Yuan, who was holding her, and Zhu Zuking, and suddenly felt a sense of relief in her heart. Such Dame Yubei can't be compared with Fang Yuan at all. In terms of qualifications, Fang Yuan is 4 years younger than Dame Yubei, but his soul power is higher than Dame Yubei. In terms of background, Dame Yubei, a waste prince who escaped, can't be compared with Fang Yuan, the son of the city of killing. In terms of appearance, although Dame Yubei is not ugly, but Zhu Zuan looked at Fang Yuan's handsome face with his Sharingan open, and her body and mind almost sank. For them, becoming Fang Yuan's captive seemed to have become a kind of redemption. My blue-silver grass is poisonous. You should have inhaled some of it before. Then you used your spirit power to launch a powerful attack skill to break through my blue-silver grass entanglement, which will inevitably speed up the blood and ki in your body and make the poison work faster. In this way, although you don't feel anything, your skin surface has actually become somewhat numb and you can't find the parasitic blue-silver grass seeds. So, you lose. Tang San released the blue-silver grass and wrapped Damubei tightly. Damubei looked at Tang San. Except for his head, his whole body was wrapped in blue-silver grass. The evil eyes flashed fiercely. Good blue-silver grass. If I have only 2 rings like you, I will indeed lose. Before he finished speaking, Damubei was suddenly stunned, and a trace of confusion flashed in his evil eyes. The next second, the fierce light in his eyes prevailed, and his spirit power burst out, and in an instant he broke free from the shackles of the blue-silver grass. How can a mere blue-silver grass restrain me? Damubei. Third soul skill, White Tiger Vajra transformation. The only 1000-year soul ring on Damubei's body shone brightly, and the surging soul power made the surrounding air distorted. His evil eyes suddenly turned blood red, and then the blue-silver grass wrapped around him suddenly expanded. With a loud bang, all the blue-silver grass wrapped around him, including the parasitic blue-silver grass seeds, were all blown into powder. That's right. Fang Yuan's mouth corners slightly raised. With such an opportunity, how could he be satisfied with just copying a ghost shadow? The 6 unique skills of the Tang sect, the method of hidden weapons, the 100 solutions of hidden weapons, the inner strength mental method, the Zuanshan Gong, the method of training hands, the Zuanayu hand, the method of training eyes, the purple extreme magic pupil, the method of light body, the ghost shadow, the method of catching the crane and the dragon. He wants them all. What is this guy? The huge soul power forced Tang San to retreat. He looked at Damubei in front of him. Damubei's appearance changed greatly after opening the 3rd soul skill. His muscles swelled and his aura became extremely prosperous. But Tang San's focus was not on this. It was Damubei's aura. Yes. In his perception, Damubei's aura just now was cold and overbearing, but he was not hostile. However, at this moment, Damubei was full of killing intent. Is it because the second ring's strength was suppressed by me that you got angry and embarrassed? Tang San controlled the blue-silver grass and fought Damubei with all his strength. He waved his hands, and the extremely tough blue-silver grass flew towards Damubei. But 10 silver lights flashed in the air, and all the blue-silver grass was torn and broken in an instant. With a palm, Tang San's pupils shrank, and he was too late to perform Ghost Shadow under his feet. However, Damubei's palm, which was almost certain to hit, still missed. Tang sect's unique skill, the method of catching, controlling the crane, and catching the dragon. Not bad. Not bad. Fang Yuan's mouth corners rose, and the 3 megatoma in his eyes turned, clearly recording every move and style of Tang San just now. Even every tremor of the muscles could not escape Fang Yuan's eyes. It can be said that, if it was Fang Yuan instead of Tang San who was on the stage at this moment, he could also fully display the Ghost Shadow Phantom tracking, and control crane and capture dragon, which was no worse than Tang San's. Unfortunately, these things such as Zuanshan Gong, Zuanayu hand, purple extreme demon eye, and hidden weapon solution cannot be directly copied with Sharingan. It seems that we have to find an opportunity to hypnotize and control him directly with Sharingan to make him vomit. Looking at Tang San, who was struggling to dodge under Damubei's attack and was even ready to use hidden weapons, Fang Yuan shook his head with some regret. It would undoubtedly be troublesome to control with Sharingan. After all, it would be directly in contact with Tang San. Fang Yuan did not forget that there was another Tang Rishan in the dark at this moment. Fang Yuan did not dare to underestimate the threat level of this guy. Chapter 58 Tang San castrates Damubei. Just when Tang San and Damubei were fighting, the Killing Knight had sent him a message through a voice line. Tang Heo has returned, and his breath is extremely unstable. It seems that this guy has gone back once, and found out that his wife and soul bone are gone. But obviously, although this guy is extremely angry, he is still rational. He rushed back from Notting City as soon as possible to continue to protect Tang San in Soto City. This is why Fang Yuan would sit here and watch Tang San and Damubei fight quietly, instead of taking action himself to directly solve the 2 guys. But, there is always a chance. Fang Yuan was not in a hurry. Although this Tang sect's unique skills are good, they are not necessary for him. At this moment, he first took the crane control and dragon capture and ghost shadow mirage, and then took down the Shrek 7 devils. Fang Yuan's mouth corners rose, and the megatoma in his eyes turned, controlling Damu Bei to continue to attack fiercely, and the offensive became more and more fierce. Under the surging spirit power, Damu Bei's tiger palms became bigger, and the sharp blades on them turned into bright silver. The most peculiar thing was that his whole body was shrouded in a layer of strong golden light, as if he was gilded. His blood-red eyes revealed a bloodthirsty light. Damu Bei exerted force with his legs, and his body suddenly bounced up and rushed towards Tang San. The tiger palm slapped down fiercely, with a whistling sound of breaking wind. If this palm landed on Tang San, he would definitely be paralyzed. Third brother, the little rabbit, who felt the crisis, cried out in surprise and immediately released her spirit ring and rushed towards Tang San. At the same time, she released her second spirit skill in midair. Her eyes suddenly turned blood red, and she stared straight at Damu Bei. Damu Bei, who was attacking Tang San, suddenly stopped. Fang Yuan snorted coldly and released his pupil power. The rabbit didn't even jump twice, as if it had seen something extremely terrifying. Its eyes widened, and then it rolled over and fainted. Zio Wu. Zio Wu. Tang San called out anxiously, trying to pull the little rabbit, but at this time, Damu Bei, who was controlled by Fang Yuan, would not give him a chance. Second soul skill, White Tiger Fierce Light Wave. A ball of strong white light burst out of Damu Bei's mouth like a cannonball, and hit the little rabbit hard. The little rabbit was blown away by this energy, smashed on the wall, and fell to the ground helplessly. Zio Wu. Tang San's eyes were red. He rolled and crawled to Zio Wu's side, and hurriedly injected the Zuan Gong internal force into Zio Wu's body, but Zio Wu didn't move at all. She was seriously injured and unconscious. Second soul skill, White Tiger Fierce Light Wave. Damu Bei, who was controlled by Fang Yuan, would not watch you do anything like a loving scene between a brother and a sister. As the saying goes, when you are ill, I will kill you. Damu Bei fired another White Tiger Fierce Light Wave at Tang San. Tang San was not prepared in a hurry. He could only wrap Zio Wu with the blue silver grass and roll on the ground in a very embarrassed manner to avoid it. When he stood up again, the corners of his mouth were already covered with blood stains, and it was obvious that he had suffered a serious injury. You guy. Tang San's eyes were deep, full of angry flames. The two sides just caused a conflict because of a small room. This guy actually took such a fatal move and even used unknown means to injure Zio Wu into this state. This person has already chosen to die. Looking at Damu Bei in front of him, Tang San obviously sentenced him to death in his heart. He climbed up from the ground panting, his arms shaking slightly, so that his body could adapt to the current state as soon as possible. At the same time, Tang San's hands have gradually turned white as jade, and there seems to be a faint airflow between his 10 fingers. Even his eyes have completely turned purple. Is this the mysterious jade hand and the purple demon eye? Fang Yuan narrowed his eyes and wanted to use the Sharingan to copy them, but he couldn't do it. The mysterious jade hand and the purple demon eye are obviously a way of soul power operation. If he can have the power of the Byakugan, he may be able to copy them. But unfortunately, the Sharingan's inside power is indeed very strong, but obviously, it cannot see through the meridians like the Byakugan. However, Tang San should use hidden weapons next, right? Tang San in an angry state is a complete black-hearted man. He says to everyone, you have already killed yourself. In the case of the explosion of hidden weapons, Damu Bei is likely to die directly in Tang San's hands. In this case, can Tang San still join Shrek Academy? Fang Yuan's mouth curled up. This is going to be fun. Fang Yuan continued to control Damu Bei and walk towards Tang San. His soul power made the effect of the 1000-year soul ring last for half an hour. At this moment, Damu Bei's first soul skill was also activated. The first soul skill, the White Tiger Body Barrier, emitted a layer of golden white light under the amplification of the White Tiger Vajra transformation. The next moment, Damu Bei waved his tiger palm and attacked Tang San. Under the amplification of the soul skill, Damu Bei's speed was extremely fast, but Tang San seemed to be scared and stood there without moving. No, he moved. Tang San raised his hands on both sides of his waist, and 10 cold lights burst out from the light twist of his 10 fingers, shooting at Daemubei's eyes, shoulders, throat, heart, knees, lower body and lower abdomen. The attack positions of the 10 cold lights were not the same, and they all chose the vital points. If he didn't make a move, it would be a sure kill. Bang, bang, bang. Several metal collision sounds were heard, and 10 cold lights pierced Daemubei's body, but in the golden light of amplification, several cold lights were bounced back, and did not cause any harm to Daemubei. However, although Daemubei activated the double amplification skill, and strengthened his defense, he still could not completely protect some vulnerable parts of his body. For example, his eyes and neck. Another example is his lower body. A heart-wrenching scream came from Daemubei's mouth, and the severe pain even forcibly cut off Fang Yuan's hypnotic control. Daemubei covered his crotch, and wailed and screamed, curled up and knelt down. In just a moment, his lower body was already scarlet. Looking at Daemubei's miserable condition, Fang Yuan couldn't help but feel a chill in his crotch and a little painful. Judging from this appearance, even if this lustful tiger can survive, I'm afraid he can only be a eunuch tiger in the future. Fang Yuan's eyebrows twitched, and he immediately realized that Tang San, who was carrying Xiao Wu, not only did not stop, but also threw out 10 cold lights from the 24 bridges on the moonlit night. The targets were all Daemubei's vital points. At this moment, Daemubei, because of the severe pain, let alone defense, even his martial spirit had automatically disbanded and returned to his normal state. The whole person curled up on the ground and wailed, "This Tang San is really cruel." Chapter 59. Flanders come to help. At this moment, Daemubei was lying on the ground, curled up and wailing. In addition, he had no spirit defense. Once these 10 bone-penetrating nails fell on Daemubei's body, he would definitely be killed. Fang Yuan sat quietly by the side, playing with the big and small cats. Zhu Zuking gently clenched her fists, but her beautiful eyes revealed a sense of relief and a look of relief. "Is it finally over? Boy, you are so cruel at such a young age. The girl was just knocked unconscious by the backlash of your spiritual spirit skills. How could you kill her like this?" Just when those bone-penetrating nails were about to end Daemubei's life, an angry shout sounded from outside the hotel. A gust of wind swept by, and at the critical moment, it wrapped Daemubei's body, and avoided the fatal attack of Tang San's hidden weapon. "Are there reinforcement?" Tang San's eyes turned cold. "You are really patient. You ran out only after all the students of your own academy were castrated." Fang Yuan chuckled and looked outside the store. A figure with wings on his back and glasses appeared in front of everyone. 7 soul rings of yellow, purple, and black wrapped around his body, and the pressure of the Soul Saint was released without reservation. "Soul Saint?" Tang San's heart trembled. "It's that profiteer," Nightingale exclaimed, and looked at Daemubei who was curled up on the ground and unconscious. "Is this profiteer here to save the situation?" It should be, but he probably didn't expect that kid to be so cruel. Directly castrate Daemubei, and even kill him, right? Fang Yuan smiled faintly. Yes, the guy who rushed in to stop Tang San and Daemubei from fighting at this moment was Flanders. Flanders, who was in the state of martial spirit possession, was surging with momentum, and 7 soul rings wrapped around his body, with unparalleled power. But his face was extremely ugly. He used his soul power to suppress and restrain Tang San at the first time, and then checked Daemubei's condition. His spirit was damaged, and his soul power was exhausted. Although his injuries were not many, they were all extremely serious. The most important thing was that those injured places were actually purple and black. Poisoning again. Flanders' expression was solemn, and his expression became darker as he looked at Tang San. However, he did not attack Tang San immediately. After his eyes wandered over the 24 bridges on Tang San's waist for a while, he finally decided to treat Daemubei first. Tang San's poison was very strong. Although Flanders could use his soul power to force out the poison, some fragile organs had been festering and stinking due to the poison. Flanders took a look inside. It could only be cut off. "Soul, Master Soul Saint." The hotel manager stepped out tremblingly and whispered, "Mr. Day, go find an auxiliary soul." As a profiteer in Soto City, Flanders naturally knew this manager. He subconsciously opened his mouth to give orders. Although he barely maintained Daemon Bei's injuries with his soul power, he was not an auxiliary soul master who was good at treatment after all. But before he finished speaking, he noticed Fang Yuan and others who were sitting quietly and watching the show. They are also guests of the hotel. They must have come down because they heard the noise, the hotel manager said cautiously. Also guests of the hotel? Exclamation mark. Thinking of the terrifying pressure from the previous title Douluo, Flanders' brows trembled. I'm sorry to disturb your rest. He took a deep breath, smiled at Fang Yuan, and cupped his hands. Then he took out a purse from his bag with some reluctance and handed it to the hotel manager beside him. Manager Wang, all the consumption of this person in the store these days will be charged to me. After saying that, without waiting for Fang Yuan to speak, Flanders held Daemon Bei in one hand and Tang Sun and Xiao Wu, who were wrapped in blue silver grass, in the other hand, and directly waved his wings behind him, and left the Rose Hotel. Only the messy hotel lobby and manager Wang, who was holding the purse and a little overwhelmed, were left. Is it over like this? Nightingale pouted in boredom. I thought that profiteer would directly use thunder to kill the kid who played with the blue silver grass, but that's it. So boring. Then what interesting things do you want to do? Fang Yuan stood up and pulled the little nightingale into his arms. The little nightingale's delicate body trembled slightly, turned her head, and looked at Fang Yuan. Her beautiful eyes were like water, and her spring light was rippled. Holy sun. Ha 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 ha, the good show is over. It's time to go back to sleep. Fang Yuan laughed, took the three women upstairs, and returned to the Rose Love. After leaving the Rose Hotel, Flanders took Tang Sun and Daemon Bei and the other two, and flew all the way. After placing Daemon Bei in a medical clinic, Flanders took Tang Sun and Xiao Wu, and went straight back to Shrek Academy. The residence of the Soul Saint was not very gorgeous, just a simple small room, or an office. At this moment, Xiao Wu was still in a coma, and Tang San, who was suppressed by Flanders' spirit power, stared at Flanders. Although his body could not move, it was conceivable that once Flanders released his spirit power, this kid would definitely jump up and launch a surprise attack. Flanders did not speak, but untied the 24 Bridges Bright Moonlight from Tang San's waist, sat down behind his desk, and looked at it carefully in his hand. After a moment, his eyes revealed a complicated look, and he looked at Tang San and said, "Master, are you okay? Do you know my teacher?" Tang San was a little surprised. "So you are his student. No wonder he gave you this belt." Flanders put down the 24 Bridges Bright Moonlight in his hand and looked at Tang San with complicated eyes. Mu Bei is a student of our college and one of the economic pillars of our college. To be honest, if it weren't for this belt, I should have killed you on the spot when I was in the hotel. College? Tang San was a little confused. Let me introduce myself. My name is Flanders, the Dean of Shrek Academy. The Dean of Shrek Academy! Exclamation mark. Tang San's heart trembled, and he looked at Flanders with some suspicion, but he knew in his heart that Flanders had no reason to deceive him. He was now the captive of the Soul Saint, and his life and death were in his hands. In this case, what was the point of deceiving him? However, if Flanders in front of him was the Dean of Shrek Academy, then wouldn't the identity of Daemon Bei as a student of the academy he mentioned be true? When he thought of how cruel he was to his future classmate, a strange look flashed across Tang San's face. But soon, Tang San recovered. No matter who made that guy hurt Xiao Wu first. It was just a room, but that guy was going to kill her. How could such a violent, terrifying, and narrow-minded person be worthy of being my classmate? Exclamation mark. The most urgent task was to deal with the Soul Saint in front of him first. Master Soul Saint, no, Dean. Tang San took a deep breath and said softly, "In that soul guide, there is a letter written to you by my teacher. Chapter 60, The Abandoned Daemon Bei, Breakthrough to Level 40. Flanders looked at the letter in his hand, his face sometimes happy, sometimes angry, happy, angry, sad, happy. Different emotions almost appeared on his face. The constantly changing expression, the crazy expression, finally turned into a firm look, looking at Tang San. With a wave of his hand, the soul power that bound Tang San dissipated. "I didn't expect that you are actually his disciple, and it is his hard work to prove himself." I'm sorry, I didn't expect to meet you under such circumstances. Tang San showed an embarrassed look and climbed up the pole. Originally, the teacher meant to let me join Shrek Academy and pass the entrance examination before giving this letter to you. No need, I have seen your qualifications and talents, so there is no need for the entrance examination. You can stay here with me for the time being, so that you can attend classes later. Flanders said, and this little girl, I think her qualifications are also very good. Her spirit power is the same as yours, both at level 29. They should have come here together, right? Yes, she is my sister. Tang San nodded, hesitated for a moment, and said to Flanders with some embarrassment, that day Mu Bei. Don't worry about Mu Bei's affairs, I will take care of it. You and your sister can come here for class in a few days. Flanders waved his hand, and Tang San was overjoyed to hear that. After knowing Mu Bei's identity, Tang San still felt a little headache, but now that Flanders is willing to handle it for him, it is naturally the best. For Tang San, he will not spend too much time on interpersonal communication. In this battle with Mu Bei, he found many problems of his own. It is better to practice with this time. Then Dean, I will leave first. Well, looking at Tang San who left with Xiao Wu on his back, Flanders had a complicated expression. He tapped the table lightly, closed his eyes, and finally sighed. Mu Bei, don't blame me for being ruthless. Fang Yuan was not interested in knowing the outcome of Mu Bei and Tang San. This was just his bad taste when he was bored. As for what it would develop into, he didn't really care. Whether it was Tang San or Mu Bei, perhaps in the original work, they would become extremely powerful titled Douluo, or even god-level existences. But now they are just two guys who have not grown up yet. Instead of focusing on them, it is better to enjoy life, or rely on foresight to take all those opportunities into your arms. The next day, Fang Yuan got up early. The three women were still sleeping in bed after a night of hard work. Holy sun, we are afraid it is not easy to do it. That guy is almost guarding that kid 24 hours a day and never leaves. That rabbit sticks to that kid all day. If we want to do it, we will definitely have a conflict with that guy. On the dining table, Fang Yuan ate breakfast slowly. The killing knight swallowed a fried egg in one gulp and said in a deep voice, if it doesn't work, I will go and fight that guy directly. Holy sun, you take the opportunity to catch that rabbit. The killing knight has full confidence in Fang Yuan's strength. Although the hidden weapon that Tang San displayed that day was indeed a little dazzling, in the eyes of the killing knight, this trick was just a trick for Fang Yuan who had completed 100 killing fields. In a simple one-on-two situation, he believed that Fang Yuan would definitely be able to kill Tang San and catch the rabbit back. No hurry. Fang Yuan shook his head and rejected this method. Although this idea is direct, it is indeed effective. After all, no matter how strong Tang Heio's combat power is, what the ring-blasting Big Zumi Hammer and the Heio Shinjuju are awesome, but it is obviously impossible to instantly kill a level 95 titled Douluo. Maybe Tang Heio in the perfect state may be able to do this, but don't forget that Tang Heio is now accumulating hidden injuries and his strength has declined extremely seriously. Therefore, the simple and crude proposal of the killing knight is feasible. But the question is, what will happen after Xiao Wu is caught? 100,000-year soul beast is indeed a hot commodity, and it is a dream goal of all soul masters, but that is for the top masters of 80 or 90 levels. Fang Yuan is only level 39 now. Even if he can complete the breakthrough in the next few days and reach the level of 40, he can only absorb a 10,000-year soul ring at most. Even if this 100,000-year-old rabbit was stripped naked and placed in front of him, allowing him to absorb it at will, he couldn't absorb it. Moreover, carrying a 100,000-year-old soul beast around is like carrying a gold mine around, almost like writing the word come and rob me on your face. Once those guys at level 80 or 90 find out, they will definitely attack Fang Yuan, and then it will be a big trouble. Don't forget, in the original book, the reaction of those guys after the identity of this rabbit was exposed. Of course, Fang Yuan can actually take the rabbit back to the slaughter city. But to be honest, Fang Yuan doesn't want to go back. Let alone the environment of the slaughter city or other things. Just the unknown purpose and extremely threatening king of slaughter. Let Fang Yuan stay away. Therefore, in Fang Yuan's view, it is obviously not a wise move to take action against the rabbit now. It is better to keep it by Tang San's side and wait until it is needed and then kill it. A 100,000-year-old beast is not in a hurry. The Slaughter Knight muttered twice and shook his head to express his confusion. Fang Yuan smiled as he finished his breakfast. He did not wake the 3 girls from bed, but opened another room and began to practice cross-legged. Perhaps because of the hard work he had done these days and nights, Fang Yuan actually felt that his soul power had improved and even felt that he was about to break through. "Captain, please protect me. Please rest assured, Holy Sun." The Killing Knight nodded seriously. Breaking through the soul sect at the age of 12, with such qualifications, there are not many people in the entire continent who can match him. How can such a genius not be taken seriously and not want to be followed? Exclamation mark. In order to enable Fang Yuan to break through better, the Killing Knight covered the entire room with soul power, giving Fang Yuan an excellent practice environment. Circles of soul power ripples spread around Fang Yuan's body. As if sensing Fang Yuan's soul power, the blue silver emperor wrapped around the Ouroboros bracelet also began to emit a blue gold light. The blue gold soul power lines intertwined with Fang Yuan's soul power, weaving an extremely beautiful pattern. Fang Yuan calmly absorbed the soul power, and the blended soul power continued to condense and merge into Fang Yuan's body, silently breaking through the level restriction barrier. Soul power condensed, successfully promoted. There was no violent soul power reaction, nor any strange phenomenon in the world. Under the blessing of the Blue Silver Emperor, Fang Yuan easily completed the breakthrough. However, Fang Yuan was not in a hurry to end this training, but took out a blue gold right leg bone from the Ouroboros bracelet. Level 40. Then, it's time. Chapter 61, Absorbing the Blue Silver Emperor's right leg bone. That's right. What Fang Yuan took out at this moment was the 100,000-year-old bone, the right leg bone of the Blue Silver Emperor. During this retreat, Fang Yuan was going to absorb this precious 100,000-year-old bone directly. The 100,000-year-old bone was extremely precious, and the absorption made a lot of noise. Under normal circumstances, Fang Yuan really didn't dare to absorb it casually. After all, once it was discovered by others, those guys would definitely be greedy. However, this thing is no different from a mobile treasure. If you don't use it, carry it with you all the time. Even if you put it in a soul guide, Fang Yuan's heart will always be a little uneasy. So, at this moment, Fang Yuan was going to take advantage of the gap of his breakthrough to level 40 to absorb this 100,000-year soul bone. But, as if sensing the appearance of the right leg bone of the Blue Silver Emperor, the blue gold light on the Blue Silver Emperor became more and more vigorous, and the soft and warm feeling gently brushed Fang Yuan's body and mind, making him feel as if he was in a warm spring. "It seems that you also want me to absorb this soul bone." Fang Yuan gently fiddled with the green leaves of the Blue Silver Emperor, with a smile on his face. The grass leaves on the Blue Silver Emperor gently stretched out and wrapped around Fang Yuan's fingertips, like the passionate lingering between lovers, intertwined and blended. Absorb it. A slight spiritual emotion came from the Blue Silver Emperor. Feeling the urging emotion from the Blue Silver Emperor, Fang Yuan laughed. "Okay, then I will absorb it." Because of the existence of the power of wood release, the Blue Silver Emperor has completely attached to himself. If he can absorb this Blue Silver Emperor's right leg bone, the endless power contained in it will complement the power of wood release, and its power will definitely be greatly enhanced. And this is a good thing for both Fang Yuan and the Blue Silver Emperor. Fang Yuan took a deep breath and sat cross-legged. He was a little excited and put this blue gold soul bone on his right leg. This is a 100,000-year soul bone. Although this soul bone is not his first soul bone, it is the first soul bone he absorbed on his own, and it is also a 100,000-year level. How can he not be excited to absorb such a treasure? Exclamation mark. Buzz. A slight buzzing sound sounded, and Fang Yuan only felt that his right leg trembled slightly. Then, the cool breath quietly drilled into his legs from all directions, and the crystal blue gold soul bone quietly disappeared and melted, turning into countless blue gold air currents that permeated around his right leg. Cool, comfortable, without any hindrance. It was completely different from the previous absorption of the external soul bone of the dark gold terror claw bear. When absorbing the external soul bone, Fang Yuan felt that his palm was like being cast by molten iron. and his flesh, blood, and marrow were all crushed and recast, which was extremely painful. But at this moment, absorbing the right leg bone of the Blue Silver Emperor, there was no pain at all. No, not only did he not feel any pain, but he was also unusually warm and comfortable. Fang Yuan was immersed in the gentle energy fluctuations. The soul power in his body was gently fluctuating under the special traction from it. With each fluctuation, the air around him would become a little softer. In Fang Yuan's perception, his soul power did not increase too much, because the blue gold power wandered around his soul power and directly merged into his body. The violent crackling of bones continued to sound in the room. Surprisingly, during the whole process, Fang Yuan did not feel any pain, but enjoyed it very much. His body was constantly strengthened under the tempering of this extremely vital force. The fragile meridians that carried the soul power became extremely tough at this moment. The strong body was glowing with blue gold light, and the breath of life was filled. The Blue Silver Emperor stretched the grass leaves. This breath of life strengthened Fang Yuan, while making it grow more and more. In half an hour, it grew to a level close to that of a human. Tai. The blades of the Blue Silver Emperor stretched out, wrapping Fang Yuan's entire wrist and even his entire upper body in its own blades. Under the cover of the breath of life, it seemed as if the whole person and Fang Yuan were in perfect harmony. About half an hour later, this 100,000-year soul bone that countless soul masters dreamed of completely merged with Fang Yuan. In the original work, the right leg bone of the Blue Silver Emperor provided Tang San with 2 soul skills, one of which was wildfires cannot burn out, spring breezes blow and regenerate, vitality is endless, and even broken limbs can be restored. The other was flying. Similarly, Fang Yuan also obtained these 2 soul skills. Both of these soul skills are extremely powerful, especially for the early development, and can play a very critical role. Needless to say, the former, wildfires cannot burn out, spring breezes blow and regenerate, vitality is endless, broken limbs can be restored, which is an extremely powerful soul skill for any soul master. As for the second soul skill, flying, although its name is simple, its effect is not small. Although Douluo Continent is a world with extraordinary power, the level of this world is not high. Even the pinnacle of soul masters, the legendary title Douluo, cannot get rid of the defects of species and fly into the blue sky without the help of flying soul skills. The name of the fantasy sewer is beyond doubt. Originally, in Fang Yuan's conception, there would be a displacement soul skill among his 9 soul rings, but now with the flying soul skill of the Blue Silver Emperor's right leg bone, the position of that soul ring can naturally be saved. Fang Yuan exhaled a breath of turbid air and opened his eyes. The Blue Silver Emperor was still wrapped around him at this moment. The Blue Silver Emperor, who was about 1 person tall, really looked like an ordinary person at this moment, clinging tightly to Fang Yuan and refusing to leave. Be good. Fang Yuan gently patted the Blue Silver Emperor, and she reluctantly gathered the grass leaves and wrapped them around the Ouroboros bracelet again. In Fang Yuan's perception, the Blue Silver Emperor at this moment has reached the level of a 100-year soul beast. Although its combat power is still almost non-existent, the Blue Silver Emperor itself is not a combat soul beast. The most powerful thing about the Blue Silver Emperor is that it can purify and strengthen Fang Yuan's soul power. Of course, in addition to being able to assist Fang Yuan in cultivation, she can also be used as a power bank to replenish Fang Yuan's soul power and restore mana. Fang Yuan stood up and jumped twice. Looking at his body in the mirror, an idea suddenly emerged in Fang Yuan's mind. He took out a short sword from the Ouroboros bracelet, and then used the short sword to directly cut open his chest. The tingling sensation came to his heart, but the scene of blood gushing did not appear. A faint light appeared on the cut wound, and the next second, the entire wound healed directly, without even a scar left. After a careful feeling, it was only his own soul power that was reduced a little. Wildfires cannot be extinguished. Spring breezes will bring new life. Wildfires cannot be extinguished. Spring breezes will bring new life. Fang Yuan laughed. The Blue Silver Emperor's right leg bone continuously replenished his vitality, plus the Blue Silver Emperor's continuous soul power replenishment. Isn't this the body of an immortal? Exclamation mark. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel. Mundo fanfic novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 62, Seizing the Immortal Herb. With his soul power restrained, Fang Yuan suppressed the emotions on his face and walked out of the room. Looking at the Slaughter Knight who was guarding the door meticulously and quietly, Fang Yuan nodded slightly, feeling relieved. A level 40 at the age of 12 is simply unbelievable. Unbelievable. The Slaughter Knight sighed, looking up and down at Fang Yuan, always feeling that Fang Yuan in front of him was a little different from before, but he couldn't tell where the difference was. He could only attribute it to the changes brought about by the increase in soul power. Son, there is no time to lose. Let's go directly to get the fourth soul ring. I feel that with your current state, even if it is a 10,000 year soul ring, you can easily absorb it. 10,000 year fourth ring. Wow. If the world knows about it, I'm afraid I don't know how many people will drop their jaws. The Slaughter Knight was excited, as if the person who wanted to get the soul ring was not Fang Yuan, but himself. Fang Yuan smiled and shook his head. No hurry. No hurry again. The Slaughter Knight's mouth twitched slightly, and he was a little confused and speechless. You are not in a hurry to get the 100,000 year soul beast. That's because you haven't been able to absorb the soul ring yet. But if you don't absorb the fourth soul ring, you won't be able to break through the level. So you are not in a hurry? Could it be that, Saint Son, you have already made plans for the fourth soul ring? No. Fang Yuan shook his head, but I hope we can go to Sunset Forest as soon as possible. Ah. The Killing Knight was confused. Go to Sunset Forest to get the fourth soul ring. The Stardow Great Forest is one of the 3 most famous soul beasts inhabiting places in Douluo Continent. There are many kinds of soul beasts in it, which is almost the best place for soul masters to choose soul rings. Fang Yuan's previous soul rings were all obtained from the Stardow Great Forest. Whether it was the golden giant crocodile of the second soul ring or the dark gold fear claw bear of the third soul ring, they were undoubtedly the top soul beasts. Now that he has the fourth soul ring, the Killing Knight is still thinking about finding Fang Yuan an extremely suitable top level 10,000 year soul beast, but Fang Yuan said that he would not go to the Stardow Great Forest, but to the Sunset Forest. Sunset Forest is also a famous soul beast forest on Douluo Continent, but its area is much smaller than that of Star Forest. Although there are many soul beasts in Sunset Forest, there are not many that can reach the level of 10,000 years or more. Most of them stay between 1,000 and 10,000 years. Even if the Killing Knight can find 1 or 2 10,000 year soul beasts, they must be garbage soul beasts. Even if they are rare, they may not be suitable for Fang Yuan. Looking at the Killing Knight with a strange look, Fang Yuan immediately realized that he was wrong and was a little speechless. I'm going to Sunset Forest to deal with things, not to say that the fourth soul ring must be obtained in Sunset Forest. We can get the soul ring first in the next 2 days, and then go to Sunset Forest. Oh. The Killing Knight laughed twice, so that's the case, but at the same time he was quite curious. What happened in Sunset Forest that was so worthy of the sun's attention that he didn't even look at the 100,000 year soul beasts, and didn't even carefully select and search for his own soul rings? You will know when the time comes. Fang Yuan smiled mysteriously. Besides, that may be your great opportunity. My opportunity? The Slaughter Knight was slightly stunned. Ah, if my thing can be accomplished, then I promise to help you, the captain, break through the shackles of level 95 and let you go further. What? The Slaughter Knight was a little dazed, his eyes full of disbelief. Guaranteed to break through the shackles of level 95. How is this possible? Family members know their own affairs, and the Slaughter Knight knows his own situation very well. He has broken through the title Douluo for decades, and has been stuck at level 95 for more than 10 years. In the past 10 years, the Slaughter Knight has been thinking about breaking through the shackles, and breaking through to level 96. Levels 95 to 98 are Super Douluo, and level 99 is Peerless Douluo. But unfortunately, no matter how hard he tried, the 96th level was like an insurmountable chasm for him, leaving him powerless. Holy son, I know my situation myself, so you don't have to say these words. The killing knight thought that Fang Yuan wanted to motivate himself, sighed, and said a little decadently, "My body has long been corroded by the murderous aura, and my origin has been damaged. Let alone breaking through the level. It would be great to live 2 more years, let alone breaking through the level. But don't worry, Holy Son, although I have no hope of making further progress in this life, I believe that with the assistance of this old man, Holy Son will definitely grow into a top level strongman, and his achievements will definitely not be lower than mine, or even the king." The killing knight spoke in a deep voice, and Fang Yuan was a little moved by his serious look. But he also knew that the fairy grass was too magical for the people of Douluo Continent. It was almost the most valuable thing in the entire Douluo Continent. Among the Shrek 7 devils, except for Tang-san, who has twin martial spirits, and Oscar, who has innate full soul power, the others are actually very average. Although their qualifications are good, they are still far from the top. For example, Mahanjan and Ningrangrong, whose martial spirits are defective, let alone breaking through to the title Douluo. Even if they want to break through to the soul Douluo, it is a foolish dream and an impossible thing. However, with the help of the fairy grass, they not only made up for the defects in their martial spirits, but also broke the limits of soul masters, and became the gods in the legend. It can be said that the reason why the Shrek 7 devils can become gods is entirely due to the fairy grass. Although the situation of the killing knight is serious, Fang Yuan believes that, as long as the fairy grass helps, it is not a problem for the killing knight to break through to level 95. By the way, Saint, the other guy you asked me to pay attention to earlier seems to have come to Soto City as well. The Slaughter Knight didn't know what Fang Yuan was up to, so he didn't make any guesses. He changed the subject and said, "But Saint, don't mess with that little girl. Your 2 maids are far away from the family, and the ZHU family doesn't have any powerful people. But the family behind this little girl has 2 titled Douluo, and one of them is even stronger than me." The Slaughter Knight hinted at Fang Yuan with some embarrassment, leaving Fang Yuan speechless. "In your eyes, am I the saint who only knows about that?" The Slaughter Knight blinked. "Isn't it?" Fang Yuan rolled his eyes helplessly, and was too lazy to explain too much. "What is the strength of the guard next to that girl?" "Soul sect, but I noticed that there is another soul Douluo in the dark," the Slaughter Knight said honestly. "Contrap." Fang Yuan hesitated for a moment. This was normal. With that girl's position in the sect and her personality, he would be surprised if she came out without strong guards. "Captain, I have a task for you." "You say?" Fang Yuan blinked at the killing knight. "Send her guards away. I have something important to do." Chapter 63. How about, while it's hot? Finally I got out. This time I'm going to have a good time outside. On the streets of Soto City, a girl with tender skin and delicate face looked around curiously, her watery eyes blinking. Very cute. She was dressed in luxurious clothes, and was not stingy with money. She would even give some tips to the bosses in shops when buying small jewelry or snacks. She was generous. Coupled with her lovely appearance, it can be said that people like her at first sight. And the girl seemed to enjoy the feeling of being praised by everyone. She squinted her eyes and strolled on the street. Suddenly, a figure broke into her sight, and then a shout came from behind. "Catch the thief! Catch the thief! Thief!" The girl's eyes lit up, looking at the fleeing figure and the shop thugs chasing behind her. A cunning flashed in her bright eyes. The soul power was running, and the girl quietly activated her martial soul, and a 7-story exquisite small tower appeared in her hand. 2 streams of light were released silently, and merged into the body of the shopkeeper who was chasing the thief. The shopkeeper who was chasing the thief was shocked, as if he was stimulated by something. His speed suddenly increased, and he approached the fleeing thief in just 2 or 3 steps. The thief thought that he was agile, and would definitely be able to escape the pursuit of the fat shopkeeper with a big belly. He looked back, and found that a fist as big as a sandbag had already landed in front of him. Ouch. The thief was punched in the face. While he was confused, he continued to flee, but the shopkeeper was not willing to let him go. With the help of a sudden surge of power in his body, he took 2 steps at a time, and took the thief down. But 2 streams of light quietly merged into the thief's body. The thief, who was dizzy and dazed by the slap of the shopkeeper, suddenly felt an inexplicable power surge in his body. The thief subconsciously raised his hand and actually caught the shopkeeper's tough iron fist directly. What? The two looked at each other. The shopkeeper was stunned and the thief was confused. The next moment, the thief ran away without caring about the power that emerged from his body. The shopkeeper wanted to chase him, but he could no longer catch up and could only be furious. Such a scene made the girl in the dark giggle. After the play was over, the girl was about to leave, but when she turned around, she bumped into a hard object, which made her head dizzy. The girl rubbed her forehead, a little annoyed, and asked in her heart who was blind and dared to block her way. But when she raised her head, what caught her eyes was a pair of scarlet eyes. The next second, the girl, who was still lively and energetic the moment before, stood there with lifeless eyes, as if she had lost her soul. Is it fun? Fang Yuan gently embraced the girl and let the dazed girl lean on his shoulder. The boy was handsome, the girl was pretty, and the two were wearing extremely luxurious clothes. For a moment, to outsiders, they looked like a couple of aristocratic lovers hugging each other. Fun. Do you like the feeling of playing with others? Like. Name. Ningrangrang. The girl's eyes were dull, and she leaned weakly on Fang Yuan's chest. Although her heart was still beating, and her blood was still flowing, she was like a puppet, answering Fang Yuan's questions one by one. This was not the soul skill that Fang Yuan mastered, but the power of illusion that could only be awakened by the 3 magic Sharingan. Before the manger key was opened, the power of the Sharingan was mainly divided into 3 stages, namely the insight of the single magic Sharingan, the copying of the double magic Sharingan, and the hypnosis of the 3 magic Sharingan. At this moment, what Fang Yuan showed to control Ningrangrang was the hypnotic power of his 3 magic Sharingan. In other words, illusion. This illusion control is different from the control produced by his first soul skill, the mental impact. The control of the first soul skill relies on the power of the soul skill to damage the target's mental power, thereby controlling the target for a short time. This control is rough. It will not only cause great damage to the target's mental power, but also cause a certain degree of loss of its own mental power due to the forced mental power suppression. However, the illusion control of the Sharingan is completely different. This special power from the other world is extremely powerful. It uses the strength of the mental power of both parties as a basis, and uses soul power to create an illusion space to control the target. This control is flexible. As long as it goes smoothly, it will not cause great damage to the target's spirit, nor will it consume a lot of energy for the caster. Even after the illusion control ends, the controlled person may not even know that he has been controlled. This is the power of the Sharingan. In Fang Yuan's plan, he was going to use this trick to control Tang San and make him spit out all the Tang sect's unique skills. At this moment, Ningrangrang became the whetstone of this trick. The so-called distraction control is to control your different soul skills at the same time. It is divided into 5 realms, namely the 3 aperture control heart, the 4 aperture constant heart, the 5 aperture scattered heart, the 6 aperture wishful heart, and the 7 aperture exquisite heart. Each realm means that the number of soul skills that can be controlled at the same time and the number of times they are released at the same time. Under Fang Yuan's control, Ningrangrang obediently spit out the methods of distraction control one by one. Fang Yuan understood and wrote them all down. This soul skill is the unique secret book of the 7 treasures glazed sect. It is rarely circulated in the outside world. As long as you can learn it, the use of your own martial soul and soul power will be greatly improved. Just like treading water and climbing trees in the 5 village fights, it is an extremely excellent soul skill for cultivation. After Fang Yuan wrote down all the skills and content, he took a good look at Ningrangrang, who was like a puppet doll with blank eyes. It must be said that Ningrangrang is really good looking. She has fair and delicate skin, exquisite looks, and accessories on her hair, chest, bracelets, and waist, all of which reflect her high status and the prominence of her family. The long braids, the design of her clothes, and the short skirt with lace edges make her look like a spoiled little princess. She has a sense of distance from others, but she is still cute like her peers. Ningrangrang, who looks like a proud young lady, is obviously a completely different style from the big and small cat sisters. Looking at Ningrangrang, who is completely controlled by him and looks like a doll, Fang Yuan's heart skipped a beat. How about, while it's hot? Please recommend, monthly, and reward. Chapter 64. Ning Rangrang ran away. This thought flashed through Fang Yuan's mind, but was quickly driven out by Fang Yuan. Hypnosis play and the like, although very exciting, but as a positive villain, we naturally can't do these. The main reason is that we are afraid of the power of the supreme god of Hexy and dare not mess around. Otherwise, wouldn't it be easy to do a hand of hypnosis? Ahem. However, it is a bit of a pity to let Ning Rangrang go just like that. It's not that she was not eaten, but mainly because of her identity. As the daughter of Ning Fengxi, the little princess of the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect, the treasure that the Sword and Bone Douluo have seen since childhood, Ning Rangrang's identity is destined to be extraordinary in her life. Whether it is the huge family industry of the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect, the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile Tower, the world's #1 auxiliary martial spirit, or Ning Rangrang, the delicate little beauty. Ahem, ignore the latter. Such a big treasure, if it is let go and leave, Fang Yuan is naturally unwilling. How about, like a kitten, leave a mental hint in her mind? Fang Yuan touched his chin. This is a good choice. But if it is a simple mental hint, the effect may not be as obvious as ZHU Zuking's. After all, ZHU Zuking's situation is special. She accompanies Fang Yuan all day long, which is a physical and mental two-pronged approach. Forget it, just leave a seed and plant an unintentional willow. Anyway, the method of distraction control has been achieved. Son, what are you doing? A curious voice sounded from the side. Fang Yuan raised his head and found that the killing knight stood beside him without knowing when, looking at him with a teasing face. It must be said that the situation between him and Ning Rangrang at the moment is indeed a little ambiguous. Ning Rangrang leaned on him, and the thin sapphire-colored long skirt on her body could not be a barrier at all. In addition, his hands seemed to be on Ning Rangrang's body all the time. At first glance, it looked like an intimate couple. Fang Yuan's mouth twitched slightly. The old man, the killing knight, was old but not old at heart. All he could think about was all these messy things. Where is the Soul Douluo's guard? Fang Yuan held Ning Rangrang in his arms, indicating that the girl was currently in a state of unconsciousness, which immediately made the killing knight give him a thumbs up. Still outside the city. As he spoke, the killing knight also blinked at Fang Yuan. Don't worry, holy son. I broke one of his hands, and one of his feet, and temporarily sealed his soul power. He will definitely not be able to come back in a short time. The implication was that, holy son, you can do whatever you want. There is plenty of time. I remember that outside the Soto city is the wild soul beast area, right? Breaking his hands and feet, and sealing his soul power. Are you sure that the Soul Douluo can survive? It should be okay. The killing knight muttered, and then said, isn't there a soul sect? He is fine. He was simply stunned by my soul power. When I come back, he should be almost awake. Fang Yuan silently said 6. That Soul Douluo is basically dead, with no soul power, and broken arms and legs. In the wild soul beast area, he is no different from meat on a chopping board. But then again, didn't you say that there are 2 titled Douluos in the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect, and they are not easy to deal with, so you ask me to be careful when I deal with Ning Rangrang? Why are you so supportive now? Fang Yuan shook his head helplessly. After Ning Rangrang left a mental hint, he withdrew his pupil power and soul power, then stood up and waved to the killing knight. Let's go. Ah. The killing knight pointed at Ning Rangrang, who was still confused and had not yet fully woken up. Just leave like this? What else? No, don't you do something? What the hell? I'm going to find soul rings. Next, I'm going to do something big in the Sunset Forest. Okay. When talking about soul rings, the killing knight suddenly became energetic. In his opinion, this is Fang Yuan's top priority at the moment, and he can't delay it. After waiting for Fang Yuan and the killing knight to leave, Ning Rangrang woke up soon, and looked at the streets around her in confusion. Wasn't I just walking around to watch a good show? How could this happen? Well, my head feels heavy. She didn't know what happened, but she felt a little heavy in her head and a little listless. Ning Rangrang glanced at the streets around her, and suddenly felt a sense of boredom and irritability. This new city, which she originally thought was extremely interesting and fun, was now so boring in her eyes, and even a little bored. It's so boring, my head is still a little dizzy, I'll go back, and have a good sleep. Young sect master. Young sect master. The panicked call made Ning Rangrang a little irritable. She shook her heavy head and said in displeasure, "What's wrong? Why are you shouting?" Huang Liang. Master Huang Liang. Dead. Dead. The person who came was Ning Rangrang's soul sect guard. He swallowed his saliva and his face was full of fear. What? Ning Rangrang was stunned. How could it be? How could Uncle Huang Liang die? She knew Huang Liang, of course. He was one of the 15 soul Douluos in the sect. Not only was he powerful, but he was also very kind to her on weekdays. He could be said to be one of the best people to her besides the two titled Douluos. But at this moment, her guards actually told her that Uncle Huang Liang was dead. No, haven't you been following me all the time? How do you know that Uncle Huang Liang is dead? Did Dad write to you? Ning Rangrang's face was obviously filled with disbelief. Obviously, she couldn't believe that Grandpa Huang Liang, whom she always respected, was dead just like that. No. The guard showed a bitter look on his face. This time, Master Huang Liang was actually following the order of the sect master to secretly protect you, the young sect master. Just now, Master Huang Liang and I were attacked by an unknown strong man. I was knocked unconscious by the fighting spirit of the two. When I woke up, Master Huang Liang had already. As he spoke, the guard took out something from the soul guide he carried with him. Seeing that thing, Ning Rangrang's face turned pale again. Her stomach churned, and she actually retched directly against a tree beside her. The reason was that the thing the guard took out at this moment was a head. A head that had been eaten, most of it. Ning Rangrang recognized the owner of the head. It was Uncle Huang Liang, who was very close to her and took good care of her in every way. Young master, let's go. Let's go. Ning Rangrang looked up with a pale face, her eyes full of fear. Go back to Sharingan City. I want to find my father. I want to find Grandpa Jian and Grandpa Gu. She didn't want to stay in this city for a second. Yes. She felt something was wrong. Her throat hurt. She kept coughing and having a runny nose. Chapter 65 Soul Beast Sacrifice. Fang Yuan naturally knew that Ning Rangrang had left Soto City directly, because the spiritual suggestion he had planted contained the message of leaving Soto City and returning to the sect. Coupled with the fear brought by the accidental death of the Soul Douluo guard, it was natural for Ning Rangrang to return to Sharingan. Son, the latest news is that the kid from the Day family has also left Soto City. In the Xingdao Great Forest, the killing knight who was driving a carriage and searching for soul beasts said with a smile, and he was sent away by that owl. Oh. Fang Yuan was surprised. Although he knew that Flanders cared more about his brother's disciple, that is, Tang San, he didn't expect that Flanders would be so decisive and send Dame Yubei away directly. That kid. No, I'm afraid he can no longer be called a kid. That guy's son is ruthless. All the weapons he used were coated with poison. Although Dame Yubei survived, he has lost his male function. Lost his male function? Doesn't that mean Dame Yubei was castrated? In the carriage, Fang Yuan, who already knew about it, shook his head with emotion, feeling that Tang San's methods were ruthless. The big and small cats looked at each other with inexplicable expressions. ZHU Zuking's little hands tightened and tightened, and her beautiful eyes were finally filled with joy. To be honest, since she saw the twins that day, ZHU Zuking had the idea of castrating Dame Yubei. A waste to abandon his fiancé, degenerates, and indulges in alcohol and sex all day long should be punished most severely, and his tools should be confiscated. Unexpectedly, things turned out to be just as she wished. In this case, Dame Yubei should have no choice but to go to some remote place and spend his old age in humiliation. Those who know the situation of the Day family know that Dame Yubei definitely cannot go to Xingluo. Not to mention that Dame Yubei was seriously injured and his strength was greatly reduced. Even if he was not injured, how could a castrated guy compete for the throne? Let a eunuch be the emperor. Don't joke. It's better to find a remote town to spend his old age. But speaking of this, in this case, 3 of the 7 Shrek 7 devils in the original book are gone. The remaining 4 people are afraid that they are not even qualified to participate in the all-continent elite soul master competition. Or will it be the same as the original book, letting Yu Xiaogang find his lover and go to Land Bay Academy to borrow chickens and lay eggs? Fang Yuan shook his head and didn't think too much. The Shrek 7 Devils had been torn to pieces by his actions. As long as he could get the immortal grass, these guys would basically be a bunch of trash and not a big deal. The most urgent thing was to deal with what he had to deal with first. Soul Ring, Immortal Grass, God Test. He took the 4th Soul Ring, went to Sunset Forest to seize the Immortal Grass, and then returned to the Slaughter City to complete the double God Test. Based on the current situation of the Holy Sun, the 4th Soul Ring has even reached the level of being able to devour a 10,000-year soul beast. But a 10,000-year soul beast is different from a 1,000-year or 100-year soul beast after all. Not only are they powerful in soul power, but they will also produce soul shock after death. The voice of the Slaughter Knight came from outside the carriage. So for the choice of soul ring, my suggestion is to choose a plant type martial soul. Plant type martial souls are not so aggressive, and the soul shock they produce after death will also be slightly weaker. The 4th ring of 10,000 years is undoubtedly too incredible for the natives of Douluo Continent. After all, 10,000-year soul beasts have soul shock, and this kind of shock force cannot be endured by soul masters below level 40. Even Tang San, the hacker, could only absorb the 4th ring of the 10,000-year spirit after swallowing the fairy grass. Therefore, even though the Slaughter Knight had great confidence in Fang Yuan, he was still a little worried. Don't worry, Captain. It's just a soul shock. Have you forgotten what my martial spirit is? Fang Yuan played with the big and small cats and smiled. My martial spirit is least afraid of soul shocks. Captain, you just need to choose the right soul beast and leave the absorption to me. You kid. The Slaughter Knight shook his head helplessly. When he absorbed the first 10,000-year spirit ring, it was full of dangers. How could this kid not worry at all? By the way, Captain, do you know about sacrifice? Sacrifice? The Slaughter Knight paused slightly. Are you talking about the sacrifice of soul beasts? Yes. Fang Yuan nodded. After his Sharingan broke through to the 3 Megatama and changed into the hypnotic eye, Fang Yuan had an additional idea in his mind. That is sacrifice. Yes. Fang Yuan's idea is to control the soul beast, to sacrifice to Fang Yuan on his own. Sacrifice is different from hunting soul beasts on your own. The former not only has no soul power age limit, but also can absorb 100% of the soul power of the soul beast, and there is no need to consider negative situations such as soul shock. It is almost the most perfect way to obtain soul rings. However, the reason why Fang Yuan did not implement it is mainly because of 2 concerns. One is his own pupil power. Although the 3 Megatama has the effect of illusion hypnosis, it is only 3 Megatama after all. The pupil power of ordinary Megatama Sharingan is limited. Although Fang Yuan has strong mental power and abundant pupil power, it is a 10,000-year soul beast after all. One careless, that is the result of pupil power backlash. The other is the limit of sacrifice. In Fang Yuan's memory, the setting of Douluo is that only 100,000-year soul beasts can be sacrificed, so he is not sure whether those 10,000-year soul beasts can be sacrificed like 100,000-year soul beasts. If not, it is obviously a waste of effort and time. Son, let's not think about sacrifice. We humans and soul beasts are naturally opposed. Except for soul beasts that transform into human form and walk out of the forest to create sparks with humans. It is difficult for other soul beasts to develop feelings with humans, let alone sacrifice. Sacrifice means to sacrifice oneself and serve others. How can you expect soul beasts to put aside their prejudices and be completely open-hearted to a human? The implication is that Fang Yuan should be down to earth and not think about things that are not real. What about the age limit? Fang Yuan asked again. As for the year, the Slaughter Knight thought for a moment and said in a deep voice, in fact, there is no exact year limit for sacrifice. The reason why it is circulated in the Soul Master community that only 100,000-year soul beasts can be sacrificed is because 100,000-year soul beasts understand human nature and have the same human emotions as humans. because only in this way can both parties communicate with each other emotionally and be in perfect harmony, and then they can sacrifice themselves without reservation. And ordinary 10,000-year soul beasts, although they have some wisdom, their spiritual awareness is not perfect, and they still rely on their instincts to survive on weekdays. Soul beasts of this level cannot completely control their emotions. This is why the sacrifices on the mainland are basically 100,000-year soul beasts, and there are no 10,000-year soul beasts. Chapter 66. Plans for the Soul Master Competition. Fang Yuan nodded, not quite understanding. Judging from the words of the Slaughter Knight, the key to the soul beast sacrifice is actually the complete emotional dedication, not the age of the soul beast itself. In other words, as long as the soul beast is willing to devote itself to itself, it can be sacrificed. In other words, it is feasible to make a 10,000-year soul beast sacrifice. Fang Yuan thought in his heart, his eyes flashing. He doesn't need to communicate with the soul beast wholeheartedly. With the Sharingan, as long as he has a strong enough pupil power, he can make the other party succumb to him. The only thing to consider at the moment is whether his own pupil power can shake the mind of the 10,000-year soul beast. Maybe he can try it later. The Slaughter Knight drove the carriage forward, and with his perception as a titled Douluo, he soon found several very good soul beasts. Son, here is a 10,000-year-old sunflower. Son, here is a 10,000-year-old ghost vine. Son, I found a 10,000-year-old gentleman bamboo. Judging from the age, it is about 10,000 years old. The Killing Knight called out, the gentleman bamboo is tough, cold resistant and upright. If you use it as a soul ring, you should be able to obtain a defensive soul skill, or a resistance soul skill. Fang Yuan sighed lightly. Obviously, the Killing Knight still hoped that he would be more cautious and absorb this plant-type soul beast. Look for it again, Captain. The increase in soul power of plant-type soul beasts is not high. I still hope to obtain a beast-type soul beast. Alas. The Killing Knight sighed lightly, his expression complicated. The soul shock and mental shock caused by the death of animal-type soul beasts far exceeded that of plant-type soul beasts. To be honest, he really didn't want Fang Yuan to take risks. Fang Yuan did have the potential to absorb soul rings beyond his level, which could be seen from Fang Yuan's 1,000-year second and third rings, but the fourth soul ring was different. This time, the leapfrogging absorption was a leap of 5,000 years of cultivation. Only God knows the risks involved. Holy Sun. Trust me, Captain. Fang Yuan walked out of the carriage and smiled at the Killing Knight. Don't you know me yet? If there is really danger, I can't even run away in time, so why would I risk my life? You are really. In the mind of the Killing Knight, he suddenly recalled the scene in the Killing City when Fang Yuan was still a law enforcement officer before he became the Holy Sun. These law enforcement officers have been on many missions together. Every time this boy encountered a difficult guy, he frowned and retreated behind everyone. When the mission was completed, the other law enforcement officers would have more or less injuries on their bodies, but he was not hurt at all, not even a speck of dust. Looking into Fang Yuan's eyes, the Killing Knight knew that it was useless to persuade him. In this case, he might as well support him. Then look for it again. However, Saint Sun, since you choose an animal type soul beast, Fang Yuan must choose one that is just over 10,000 years old. Otherwise, I won't take action. Okay. Fang Yuan nodded helplessly and agreed. The Killing Knight smiled and continued to drive the carriage to search for soul beasts. Fang Yuan returned to the carriage, but he did not continue to play with the big and small cats. Instead, he sat cross-legged and began to concentrate his soul power and pupil power to prepare for the 10,000-year soul beasts. The three women looked at Fang Yuan, who had entered the state of cultivation, looked at each other, and did not disturb Fang Yuan very sensibly. However, they did not just sit there, but followed Fang Yuan and began to cross-leggedly cultivate. For Fang Yuan, the three women were just maids, but they were not vases that could only be played with invented. The strength of the ZHU sisters was not weak. Although ZHU Zuan was already 17 years old, even almost 18 years old, she was a 47th soul master. Her soul power level was higher than Fang Yuan's current level. Little Cat and Little Nightingale are both great soul masters of more than 20 levels. Although their qualifications are not top-notch, they have never positioned themselves as vases. Apart from other things, if their soul power cannot keep up, it will take a long time for them to recover. After being whipped by Fang Yuan every night, the three women entered the state of cultivation, and the fluctuation of soul power made Fang Yuan open his eyes. Looking at the three women who entered the state of cultivation and refined their soul power, Fang Yuan suddenly had an idea in his mind. Maybe I should let them enter the academy and shine in the all-continent elite soul master competition? As soon as this idea appeared, it kept circling in Fang Yuan's mind. Although the three women are his maids, they are not vases. In the original book, almost all of them have brilliant and eye-catching highlights. Especially in the all-continent elite soul master competition, big and small cats have extremely eye-catching roles. If they are just treated as maids and locked up by their side to play with, although it is very good, Fang Yuan always feels lack of meaning. Although Fang Yuan can possess the three women now, they are just ordinary women. But what if the three women have some more honors and some different titles, and then possess them? This is like some people adding a little fun to their love, such as cosplay. For example, during the day, he took the three women and the team members, and won the championship of the all-continent elite soul master competition through heroic performance. Then at night, ahem, it seems a bit top. Fang Yuan smacked his lips, very tempted. However, if this idea is really to be implemented, it will be a bit troublesome for the choice of academy. He himself is a registered member of the Wuhan Academy. If he wants to participate in the all-continent elite soul master competition, then is he considered a member of the Wuhan Hall, or not? If he counts, according to the configuration of the Wuhan Hall, the three women will definitely not be able to go on stage with him. If it doesn't count, how about I learn from Shrek and use a chicken to lay eggs and set up an academy? Fang Yuan thought to himself, this is a good idea. Just when Fang Yuan was thinking about the academy and thinking about participating in the all-continent elite soul master competition in 2 years, the somewhat excited voice of the killing knight suddenly sounded. Holy sun. There is a discovery. Oh. Fang Yuan walked out of the carriage curiously. The first thing he saw was two soul beasts lying on the ground bound by soul power beside the killing knight. The two soul beasts were about the same size, about 2 feet long, covered with a layer of dark golden carapace, with 6 thick and powerful broken legs, and 6 eyes on their heads emitting a faint green light. These are 2,000-pound ants. 10,000-year-old 1,000-pound ants. Chapter 67. Controlling Beasts. Killing Intent. Kyanjin Ant. Fang Yuan recognized this soul beast at a glance. It's not that Fang Yuan is so knowledgeable, but mainly because this kind of soul beast is too common. No matter which soul beast forest, you can encounter it. Even in some human towns, there are these guys. Kyanjin Ant is a soul beast with very tenacious vitality. It has outstanding body defense ability, strong resistance to blows, and extremely great strength, with strength far beyond the proportion of its body. This is all the characteristics of Kyanjin Ant. As a soul beast, they don't have any soul skills themselves. In any soul beast forest, they often become food for other soul beasts. Although their defense is good, it is limited after all, and they lack means of attack. Although their strength is good, it is difficult to exert it. Of course, there are also many soul beasts who disdain Kyanjin Ant. After all, it is a bit tiring to break their defense and then eat them. And it is precisely because of the tenacious vitality that this kind of soul beast exists in large numbers in the soul forest. It can be called the blue silver grass in the animal world, everywhere. It's no wonder that the slaughter knight was so happy. Even if this monster reached the 10,000 years, it would still be the most inferior character in the 10,000 years. For Fang Yuan, it was just right. Holy sun, come and choose which one you want. Aren't they all exactly the same? Let's take the one on the left. Fang Yuan casually pointed at the Kyanjin Ant on the left and said. The slaughter knight nodded, waved his hand casually, and the strong soul power immediately smashed the thick armor on the Kyanjin Ant on the left into pieces, and fell into a coma. At the same time, he raised his hand, and was about to slap the Kyanjin Ant on the right to death, but fortunately Fang Yuan stopped him in time. What's wrong, holy sun? Don't worry, restrain it, I have a soul skill to try. Fang Yuan didn't explain too much. After all, the hypnotic power of the Sharingan was too powerful. Even if the slaughter knight was extremely loyal to him, Fang Yuan didn't dare to reveal this method of controlling the body and mind of a creature. The Slaughter Knight nodded, thinking that Fang Yuan wanted to test the strength of his own soul skills and whether he could cause damage to a 10,000-year level soul beast. Among human soul masters, the 10,000-year soul beasts are the target of soul kings. The Holy Sun has just entered the realm of soul lords, and he wants to try to fight above his level. He is worthy of being the Holy Sun. Sharingan, open. Fang Yuan took a deep breath, and his eyes turned into a pair of 3 Magatama Sharingan in the blink of an eye. 3 scarlet Magatama rotated in his eye sockets, and 3 soul rings of yellow, purple, and purple circled around him. Such a big battle? The Killing Knight was a little surprised. Originally thought it was just a slight attempt at some self-created soul skills, but he didn't expect Fang Yuan to go all out and even show his soul rings. However, he remembered that Fang Yuan's second and third soul skills were amplification types. Could it be that the Holy Sun wanted to try to see what level the strength of his first soul skill could reach when he was at full power? Wait. The Killing Knight was surprised to find that Fang Yuan's first soul ring did not glow, but the soul power around him was boiling rapidly, and those scarlet eyes were also spinning wildly. Self-created soul skill? That's right. To use the martial soul without activating the soul ring in such a formation, the only thing that can be done is a self-created soul skill. But what is the skill of this soul skill? The Killing Knight looked at Fang Yuan curiously. At this moment, Fang Yuan stared at the Sharingan ant, his eyes staring at the 6 eyes of the Sharingan ant. The Sharingan ant, which was bound by the soul power of the Killing Knight, seemed to have sensed something and began to struggle frantically, but soon, it became quiet again, and the whole person seemed to be asleep, lying on the spot without moving. Under the erosion of Fang Yuan's pupil power, this 10,000-year-old Sharingan ant directly fell into the illusion space created by Fang Yuan. Is it a self-created soul skill of mental attack? The Killing Knight saw the clue at a glance and looked at the motionless Sharingan ant and sucked in cold air. If someone sneak attacked this Sharingan ant at this moment, it must have no power to fight back and could only be slaughtered. With the soul power of level 40, he could control a 10,000-year soul beast silently. This method, he is worthy of being the son of God. The eyes of the Killing Knight were full of emotion, but Fang Yuan's expression was not relaxed at all. Not enough. Not enough. Under the infusion of pupil power, the surrounding space changed quietly, and Fang Yuan came directly to a gray space. This is the pupil power space of the Sharingan. In the gray pupil power space, the scarlet blood moon enveloped the earth. Endless murderous aura permeated this space, and in this endless murderous aura, a Sharingan ant was trembling on the ground. The blood moon in the sky sprinkled red light, making the Sharingan ant's eyes become confused. But under the stimulation of the murderous aura around, the confusion in the Sharingan ant's eyes suddenly dissipated, replaced by fear and panic. Under the cover of murderous aura, the whole ant of Sharingan ant curled up, and its 6 broken legs were folded up, all of which were folded into the hard shell, trembling, looking like a stone shell, a turtle shrinking its head. The murderous aura is too strong, and the pupil power is not enough. Seeing this scene, Fang Yuan had a headache. It was indeed a bit difficult for the 3 Magatama Sharingan to control the 10,000-year soul beast. Fortunately, his mental power and pupil power were strong enough to barely control it. But the problem was that the murderous aura in his pupil power space ruined the matter. This murderous aura was too powerful to deter creatures. Almost the moment they entered this pupil power space, those creatures would be enveloped by this murderous aura and fall into endless despair and fear. This despair and fear far exceeded the hypnotic power of the Sharingan. It can even forcibly erase the hypnotic control effect of the Sharingan, causing creatures to fall into endless fear and despair. After a while, the two did not complement each other, but instead cancelled each other out, leaving Fang Yuan with nothing to do but stare blankly. It seems there is no way. If the murderous aura in the pupil power space is not resolved, he may not be able to completely control the 1000-year soul beast, let alone the 10,000-year soul beast. At most, he can only hypnotize it. If I want to maximize my pupil power, I must deal with the murderous aura in the pupil power space. And the simplest and most direct way to deal with these murderous auras is to integrate them into one. That is, killing God domain. the pupil power dissipated, and Fang Yuan sighed and looked at the Qianjian who was in a coma in front of him, with a firm look. I must improve my strength as soon as possible to pass the Hell Road and complete the God test. Chapter 68. A sensible woman deserves this. You are worthy of being the Holy Son. You controlled the 10,000-year-old Soul Beast in an instant. With such a strong mental power, even the Soul King and Soul Emperor would not be able to resist the spiritual attack of the Holy Son, right? Seeing Fang Yuan open his eyes, the Killing Knight immediately boasted to Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan shook his head helplessly. He could not completely control the Soul Beast, so he could not let the Soul Beast sacrifice, no matter how strong his mental power was. Captain, please protect me. I will absorb this Qianjian ant. Fang Yuan pointed at the hypnotized and comatose Qianjian ant, raised his right hand, and jumped up. In an instant, Fang Yuan's figure had arrived in front of the Qianjian ant, and the dark gold light on his right claw flashed, as if a dark gold blade had grown out. Dark gold claw. The Qianjian ant's defense was very strong. Even though he was in a coma, his hard shell was enough to resist most attacks. But under Fang Yuan's dark gold claw, these seemingly thick defenses were like thin paper. The unconscious Qianjian ant was like meat on the chopping board. It didn't even have a chance to defend itself. Its entire head was cut off by a flash of dark gold light. The Qianjian ant trembled all over, and in the next second it was dead. A circle of black soul rings slowly floated out of its body. Captain, thank you for your trouble. Don't worry, Holy Son. Fang Yuan called out to the Killing Knight, then sat cross-legged and began to absorb the black 10,000-year soul ring. The black 10,000-year soul ring felt the pull of soul power and immediately turned into a black airflow, pouring into Fang Yuan's body. In just a moment, Fang Yuan felt the light around him dim, as if he had been submerged in a raging soul power wave. This is not an exaggeration. The energy poured into this soul ring almost filled every corner of Fang Yuan's body in an instant. He didn't even need to operate it himself. The huge energy had already been forced to run. The soul power of the Qianjian ant is actually very ordinary. It was neither as overbearing as the dark gold terror claw bear or the golden giant crocodile, nor did it have the same cool feeling as when it first absorbed the silver moon fox's soul ring. It was just an ordinary soul power. However, it was this soul power that made Fang Yuan frown. The reason was simple. This soul power was too strong. The massive soul power brought by the 10,000-year soul ring was madly impacting Fang Yuan's body. Under the impact of this vast soul power, Fang Yuan's original 3 soul rings were moving at an astonishing speed, making his body look like it was wrapped in a yellow-purple cocoon. To be honest, in Fang Yuan's opinion, his body was already strong enough to absorb the 10,000-year soul ring. After all, during this period of time, the Blue Silver Emperor continuously strengthened his body, and he was also blessed by the dark gold terror claw bear's external soul bone and the 100,000-year Blue Silver Emperor's right leg bone, 2 top soul bones. In addition to his original wood escape, even if his physical fitness could not be compared with Tang San, who had eaten the fairy grass and had undergone the ice and fire yin-yang eyes, it was definitely not weak. His body was definitely strong enough to absorb this spirit ring. But even so, Fang Yuan still felt a little overwhelmed. That was a theoretical statement after all. When the spirit power of the 10,000-year spirit ring really began to wash over his body, Fang Yuan felt like a small boat on the ocean in the wind and rain. Holy Son, keep your mind. The Killing Knight looked at Fang Yuan with some worry, but at this moment he had no choice. The spirit ring absorption had already begun, and everything could only rely on Fang Yuan himself. Fang Yuan frowned. After all, he was not like Tang San in the original novel, who had swallowed the immortal grass and had no yin-yang eyes to temper his body. To be honest, swallowing this 10,000-year spirit ring at this moment seemed to be really beyond his limit. The so-called soul shock did not bring Fang Yuan too much trouble, or it could be said that there was no trouble at all. Because at the moment when the soul shock left by the Qianjian ant appeared, the pupil power of the Sharingan and the murderous aura contained in his pupil power space directly helped him to deal with it all. Fang Yuan almost thought that there was no soul shock process for this 10,000-year spirit ring. What really caused trouble for Fang Yuan was when he was absorbing the spirit ring. The black spirit power flow was constantly absorbed by Fang Yuan, and the rich spirit power rushed down, causing Fang Yuan's bones to continuously emit dense crackling sounds. Under the impact of the spirit power, his meridians even felt a little swollen. It seemed to be filled and about to overflow. But, at the critical moment, a emerald green light suddenly emerged from Fang Yuan's body, and a emerald green branch emerged from Fang Yuan's left hand out of thin air. This is it. The killing knight who was protecting Fang Yuan widened his eyes and immediately activated his spirit power to completely cover Fang Yuan. Although everyone here is his own people at the moment, Fang Yuan's 3 maids are still in the carriage and have not come out. However, the only thing to be afraid of is that there are rears on the wall. Twin martial souls are a person's biggest secret, not to mention that Fang Yuan's identity is still so sensitive. Once the secret of the twin martial souls is known by some people with ulterior motives, it will inevitably bring Fang Yuan a disaster of killing and bring huge troubles. But why did the second martial soul of the Holy Sun suddenly appear? The Slaughter Knight was a little confused. Could it be that the soul power of the 10,000-year soul ring is too strong, and it is necessary to use the second martial soul to share it? The Slaughter Knight was a little worried, but fortunately, in his perception, Fang Yuan's breath was not wrong, so he was relieved and continued to guard. In the soul power barrier, Fang Yuan suddenly felt a cool force entering his body, and the swelling feeling disappeared immediately. The emerald green branches and leaves stretched out, and at some point, the blue silver emperor wrapped around the Ouroboros bracelet had already wrapped around the wood escape branches, helping Fang Yuan to digest the soul power of the 10,000-year soul ring. Under the guidance of the blue gold airflow, the black soul power slowed down. Although it was still expanding Fang Yuan's meridians, this time, with the help of the blue silver emperor, those expanded meridians did not wail in pain. On the contrary, they became extremely resilient and perfectly withstood this force. Channeling and relaxing. With the help of the blue silver emperor, although the 1000-year soul ring of the 1000-year ant had a huge soul power, it was eventually absorbed by Fang Yuan. As the swelling gradually disappeared and the pain gradually subsided, a circle of black soul rings began to gradually emerge on Fang Yuan's body. As the dark soul ring condensed, the blue silver emperor was also smart. It curled up its body in advance and quietly merged into the Ouroboros bracelet. After the work is done, leave, hiding the merits and fame. A sensible woman should be like this. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 69, Armament Haki, the power of the fourth ring of 10,000 years. Time passed slowly. After a while, Fang Yuan slowly opened his eyes and exhaled a breath of turbid air. He stood up, stretched his body and mind, and immediately touched the blue silver emperor on the Ouroboros bracelet with his fingers. Because of his powerful mental power, when he swallowed the soul ring, his will was extremely clear, and everything the blue silver emperor did for him was naturally seen by him. To be honest, when the blue silver emperor first appeared, Fang Yuan was a little panicked. After all, the killing knight was right next to him. He happened to be absorbing the soul ring and couldn't move. If something unexpected happened, he wouldn't even have a chance to make up for it. Fortunately, the blue silver emperor was very smart. She not only used her own soul power to stimulate Fang Yuan's second martial soul, but also used her own life force to conceal her identity, disguised as a wood escape, and escape the insight of the killing knight. But, feeling the graceful touch from the blue silver emperor, Fang Yuan's mouth corners slightly raised. Who wouldn't like such a well-behaved, sensible, and capable person? How is it, Holy Sun? How is the upgrade? The Slaughter Knight noticed Fang Yuan's awakening, removed the soul power protection barrier, and asked curiously. Level 41, not bad. The 10,000-year soul ring was not as powerful as imagined, and only gave Fang Yuan a soul power breakthrough of 1 level. However, neither Fang Yuan nor the Slaughter Knight were discouraged, because as the Soul Master's level increased, the demand for soul power would become greater and greater. It would undoubtedly be difficult to rely on the soul power of the soul ring to increase the level. In the original work, Tangsun absorbed the 10,000-year crypt spider, but only upgraded 1 level. Fang Yuan absorbed the 10,000-year 1,000-pound ant, and also upgraded one level, which was already good. After all, from the perspective of rarity, the 1,000-pound ant is not comparable to the crypt spider. What about the soul skills? What are the soul skills? The Slaughter Knight looked at Fang Yuan curiously. The 1,000-pound ant was not a rare soul beast, and the soul skills born from it must not be outstanding, but the Slaughter Knight was still curious. After all, this is the fourth ring of 10,000 years. Nothing, just an ordinary soul skill of the Kyanjin ant. Fang Yuan shook his head, and the fourth soul ring on his body lit up. Compared with Fang Yuan's first two soul rings, this 10,000-year soul ring gave people a feeling of solemnity and restraint. A black light diffused out, and Fang Yuan's body surface was immediately covered by a layer of black soul light. This layer of black light film looked extremely thick, and there was a little red light faintly, as if Fang Yuan's body surface was coated with a layer of metal paint, and it was 360 degrees without dead angles, wrapping Fang Yuan up. The Killing Knight was a little curious, and with Fang Yuan's consent, he prepared to test the strength of this shield. First soul skill, Bloodthorn. The scarlet soul power condensed into a bloodthorn, shooting straight at Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan did not dodge, and put his hands in front of his chest. At the same time, the black and red armor around his body began to shrink, all condensed on his arms. It can actually be compressed? Bang! A surprised look appeared on the face of the Killing Knight. He could feel that with this layer of energy film, Fang Yuan's defense became extremely tough. He used more than 40 levels of soul power, but he couldn't cause any harm to Fang Yuan. The most important thing was that he actually felt a tingling sensation from his palm. This is counter-injury. Fang Yuan smiled and withdrew the soul power from his hands. The place attacked by the Killing Knight's soul skills, let alone injuries, did not even show any traces. The name of my soul skill is 1,000-pound armor. This soul skill permanently gives me a 30% defense and attack bonus. When I activate this soul skill, my body will form a layer of armor. The defense and attack power of the armed parts will be increased by 100% again, just like wearing an invisible armor. At the same time, when the armed part is attacked, it will rebound 30% of the damage to the attacker. Although it is a single soul skill, in terms of strength, it is worthy of the name of a 10,000-year soul ring. It's just a double increase in defense and attack. The Killing Knight sighed lightly. Permanent personal attribute increase. 100% double attribute increase of active skills. These attributes seem to be very good, but don't forget, such a soul skill, but from the body of a 10,000-year soul ring. For a 10,000-year soul ring, only this level is obviously a bit rubbish. After all, ordinary 1,000-year soul rings can also do this. Apart from anything else, Fang Yuan's second soul skill, Golden Crocodile Transformation, can temporarily increase his attack power, defense power, and movement speed by 100%, and at the same time, obtain the effect of Golden Crocodile's deterrence, which will have a deterrent effect on soul masters with lower levels than himself. And this 1,000-pound armor also increases by 100%, but it can only increase attack power and defense power. From the data point of view, it is not even as good as Golden Crocodile Transformation. As for the so-called counter-injury, after all, it is only 30%, so it was directly ignored by the Killing Knight. Son, it's my fault. I shouldn't have chosen a soul beast like the 1,000-pound ant for you. Garbage is always garbage. Even if it is a 1,000-pound ant, that is 10,000 years old, it is still garbage. The Killing Knight sighed, his face full of self-blame. In his opinion, Fang Yuan, such a top genius, actually had such a soul skill on his fourth soul ring. Obviously, he was at a great loss. He could have a better soul skill. Son, Captain, I didn't say anything myself. Why are you looking like this? Besides, a smile appeared in Fang Yuan's eyes, and he touched the Ouroboros bracelet, and a long sword appeared in his hand. Soul power flicked past, and Fang Yuan's hands wiped the blade, and the next moment, the blade turned pitch black. This is. The Killing Knight's eyes lit up. Son, is this your fourth soul skill? Yes. Fang Yuan flicked the black knife in his hand, and the blade immediately made a clear sound. My soul skills can not only arm myself, but also equip these weapons. And when arming these external objects, their attribute enhancement is based on my own attribute strength, not the sword itself. If it is just a simple amplification of oneself, then Kai and Janant's soul skill is indeed nothing. After all, ordinary 1000-year soul skills can achieve this level, and are even more powerful than this soul skill. However, when the object of its amplification can also fall on dead objects, the concept is different. Chapter 70 Departure at Sunset. Damu Bei in despair. Fang Yuan was extremely satisfied with his fourth ring. In fact, at the beginning, Fang Yuan did feel a little disappointed. After all, with such a small increase, who could use it? However, when he carefully comprehended everything about this soul skill, he finally reacted. Arming oneself increases defense and attack power, and can also arm weapons to increase strength. Isn't this the armament haki in One Piece? Except that it can't cause additional effects on the natural system. This 1000-pound armament is basically no different from armament haki, even the color is almost the same. Anyway, whether there are natural devil fruit ability users in Douluo, it doesn't matter whether there is such a property. For ordinary people, the strength of this 1000-pound armament is not bad. After all, even if it is an increase in weapons, it is at most that. After all, Douluo is a feudal and backward society, unlike the later Douluo II and Douluo III, where all kinds of offensive soul guides are flying all over the sky. In this era, the concept of weapons is not actually developed. The most powerful weapon for everyone is still themselves, so the strength of 1000-pound armament is not high. But don't forget, that's for ordinary people. But is Fang Yuan an ordinary person? Don't forget, Fang Yuan's martial soul is the Sharingan. In the power, contained and hidden in the Sharingan, in the realm above the 3 Megatama Sharingan, there is an ultimate eye technique called Susanoo. When the time comes, match it with this armed skill. That picture. Fang Yuan waved his palm, and the armor covering the blade gradually faded. Looking at the 4 soul rings circling around him, 1 yellow, 2 purple, and 1 black, he nodded with satisfaction. Now Fang Yuan is a 41st level control type war soul sect, with 1 yellow, 2 purple, and 1 black soul ring. The 4 soul skills are Mental Shock, Golden Crocodile Transformation, Dark Gold Light, and 1000-pound Armed. The 2 soul bones on his body are the outer soul bones of the Dark Gold Terraclaw, right palm bone from the Dark Gold Terraclaw bear, and the right leg bone of the 100,000-year-old Blue Silver Emperor. The skills they carry are Dark Gold Terraclaw, Flight, and Wildfire cannot be extinguished, Spring Breeze Blows and Rebirth. Now that the soul ring is in place, he does not need to hunt soul beasts to obtain soul rings in the short term. Everything is ready, only the east wind is missing. Then the next step is to obtain the immortal grass. Get ready, we will set off directly. The target is the Sunset Forest. Yes, Holy Sun. The Killing Knight nodded, and was extremely curious. What kind of things are there in the Sunset Forest that are so charming and worthy of Fang Yuan's attention? But he did not ask more. Anyway, he would know when the time comes. A moment later, the Killing Knight drove the carriage and rushed towards the direction of the Sunset Forest. At the same time, in Soto City, a strong figure curled up a little hunched and walked towards the outside of Soto City with trembling feet. I have prepared a carriage outside the city, you can leave on your own. A faint voice sounded in his ears, and the strong figure trembled suddenly, raised his head and looked around. His eyes were full of bloodshot. But there was no one around. Obviously, the person who was talking to him used soul power to force sound into a line to communicate with him, and did not come in person. Don't blame me for being ruthless. You know the rules of Shrek Academy. Your foundation is damaged. It is extremely difficult to improve your strength. Instead of staying in the academy, you might as well find a place to recuperate. Besides, your current state. Dean, are you really so ruthless? Almost gritting his teeth, Damu Bei clenched his fists, his eyes bloodshot, and almost roared, how much have I paid for the academy over the years? Funding, academy recruitment, can you ignore all of this so easily? Flanders was silent for a moment, and finally sighed. Mu Bei, Tang San's teacher was my former best friend. It was his teacher's idea for him to join Shrek Academy, so I naturally couldn't refuse. Originally, you had the possibility of becoming alumni, or even brothers fighting side by side, but after this happened, I really, Damu Bei spat and sneered, that kid is ruthless and kills people with every move. Who would want to be a brother with such a guy? Wouldn't that be bad luck for 8 lifetimes? That kid may be the disciple of your good friend, but what does he have to do with you, Flanders? I'm your student. You can be so happy with a person who is not related to you and abandon your own student. Ha 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 ha. Ridiculous. It's really ridiculous, Flanders. Demube laughed loudly, tears in his eyes, and his strong body even trembled a little because of the excitement. How dare you? Flanders' voice in the dark turned cold, and a trace of displeasure flashed in his eyes. In his opinion, Demube is now a useless person, and he, as a soul saint, can talk to Demube so kindly here, and even arrange a carriage for him. This is already a nostalgia. Even so, Demube still showed this look, which is really not tactful at all. Demube, stop talking nonsense. I'm willing to let you go, which is already a concession. Don't forget, if it weren't for me, you would have been Tang San's dead soul now. Dead soul? Then let me die. Why are you saving me? Demube growled, and slapped his chest with his fist. What is it now? What is my current appearance? Demube was originally a desperate man. He didn't dare to face the reality and fate, so he fled to Xiandao. He relied on wine, sex, and music to let himself sink into it, confuse himself, and paralyze himself. And now, without the 2 teals under his crotch, he couldn't even numb himself. Now he might as well die. Okay, stop talking nonsense. Flanders shook his head. Over the years, you have indeed contributed a lot to the academy. This time I saved your life, and the favor between you and me is over. Leave as soon as possible. Go back to your Zingluo, or go to other cities, and don't come back. You. Demube wanted to say something, but the feeling of soul power had disappeared. Obviously, Flanders didn't want to talk nonsense with him anymore and left directly. Demube clenched his fists, and his sharp nails pierced into his palms, even drawing blood. His bloodshot eyes stared at the direction of Shrek Academy, and his tiger teeth were almost broken. He never thought that he would come to this point. He, the Prince of Zingluo, would become what he is now. Tang-san. Shrek. We are not done. We are not done. Chapter 71. Tang-san joins Shrek. Demube left Soto City. No one knew where he went, and no one cared, except that the enrollment of Shrek Academy in Soto City ended early this year. Brother, did the master make a mistake? The infrastructure of this academy is too poor. Xiao Wu, who had recovered her spirit, followed Tang-san, and looked around curiously. She had been in a coma during this period of time, and just woke up today, and then Tang-san told her that they had passed the entrance examination, and joined Shrek Academy. The teacher will not lie to us, and you didn't see it, because you were in a coma these 2 days, but I met several teachers here. Tang-san smiled and said, have you seen Soul Saint and Soul Emperor level Soul Masters teaching in intermediate middle schools? What? Xiao Wu opened her mouth wide. Brother, do you mean that the teachers of Shrek Academy are all Soul Saint and Soul Emperor level? Yes. Tang-san smiled heartily and pulled Xiao Wu away. Just follow me. Not long after, the two came to the empty space. There were few people on the open space. 3 of them were standing there, an old man and 2 teenagers. The old man looked lazy, and his clothes were simple to put it nicely. No matter how you looked at him, he looked like an old man in a village, and he was not even as energetic as old Jack from the Holy Spirit village. The other 2 teenagers were also very distinctive. One was a little thin, wearing a simple grey coat, with neat short hair and a full beard, but he had a pair of big peach blossom eyes. The other was fat, with red hair, like a red ball, and his eyes looked around cunningly. Xiao Wu followed the fat man's line of sight, and immediately found that what he was looking at were all ordinary civilian girls living in the houses around the open space. Bah. Fatty pervert. Xiao Wu frowned and snorted. Why is this academy built in a civilian area? What if we use our spirit skills too much and hurt innocent people? This. Tang-san scratched his head and looked at the buildings around him, not knowing what to say. He also felt that this was wrong, but he was only listening to his teacher, so he naturally had an incomparable beautification of Shrek Academy in his heart, and naturally filtered out Xiao Wu's words. Let's gather first that, before Tang-san could say a few words, his expression suddenly darkened. The reason was that the fat man who was looking around had actually set his sights on Xiao Wu. His face flushed, his eyes sparkled, and he stared at Xiao Wu back and forth. "What's wrong, brother?" Tang San's eyes flashed coldly, and Xiao Wu looked in the direction of Tang San's gaze with some curiosity. Suddenly, her eyes were blazing, and she rushed up to teach him a lesson. Mahanjan, who was originally staring at Xiao Wu with lustful eyes, saw Xiao Wu rushing towards him, blinked his eyes, the whiskers on his lips trembled a few times, and his eyes shone brightly. "What a pretty girl. Why, seeing that my brother is handsome, are you in a hurry to throw yourself into my arms?" Bullshit. Xiao Wu was furious, and kicked Mahanjan in the chest, and kicked him away. "You little hooligan. You are so young, and don't learn well. You can't control your eyes and look around. Believe it or not, I will dig you out." Xiao Wu's foot was strong, and she kicked the unprepared Mahanjan to the ground, and he fell flat on his face. Seeing this, the peach blossom-eyed boy on the side immediately covered his head and laughed. "Fatty, you are really a chicken on the ground now. Ha 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 ha. What are you laughing at, little sausage uncle? Just wait and see if I beat this stinky girl up." Mahanjan growled in shame and anger, and was about to possess his martial spirit, but was stopped by the old man who closed his eyes and rested. "Okay, stop making trouble. Get ready for class." As soon as these words came out, Mahanjan's face fell, and he looked at the old man with dissatisfaction. "Teacher Lee, they are bullying me. If I don't teach them a lesson, how can I survive in the academy in the future?" "You can't beat him." Lee Yusung shook his head and said calmly. "What? I can't beat these two brats?" Upon hearing this, Mahanjan immediately exploded. "I'm a phoenix. I can't beat these two brats who talk nonsense. Just see if I beat them up or not." As soon as they heard the word phoenix, Tang San and Xiao Wu were both shocked. Among the beast martial spirits, there are several particularly powerful ones, one of which is the phoenix. The phoenix is also called the seven-colored bird. The phoenix martial spirit not only allows the host to have the ability to fly, but also gives it a powerful attack power of fire attribute. It is the best among the strong combat martial spirits. On the contrary, the bearded uncle with peach blossom eyes on the side burst into laughter and said, "Come on, fatty, you are not a phoenix, but a chicken at best. Do you want a beating, little sausage? Alright, Hangjin, you are really no match for Xiao-san." Flanders' figure dropped from the sky and said with a smile, "Xiao-san is already a level 29 Great Soul Master and is about to break through to level 30. You are still far away. Level 29. Mahanjan opened his mouth in disbelief. If you disagree, you can naturally give it a try." Tang San naturally would not look favorably upon this guy who looked at Xiao Wu with that kind of eyes from the very beginning. "Just try it. Do you really think I'm afraid of you, Hanjan?" Flanders shouted softly, stopping the fight that was about to break out. "We are all students of the academy. Your force should be used to deal with the enemy, not your classmates and partners." Hangjin was wrong first. "I apologize to you, Tang San, on his behalf, but Hangjin's situation is special. I hope you can understand. The dean is serious." Flanders had already spoken, so Tang San naturally wouldn't hold on to it. Tang San still had a good impression of the dean who had helped him get Daimyo Bay, and naturally gave him due respect. However, from the dean's words, this fat man is also a student of this academy. Flanders seemed to see Tang San's confusion and introduced, "Remember what I told you, there are only 2 students in the academy now?" Tang San immediately understood. "You mean, he is also?" "Yes, Hangjin is also a student of the academy, and in addition to Hangjin, there is Oscar." "Hello." The bearded uncle on the side waved his hand. "This uncle is also a student of the students?" Xiao Wu exclaimed. "I thought he was a teacher of the academy." Oscar's mouth twitched slightly, but he had a good temper and did not quarrel with the chattering Xiao Wu. Instead, he looked at Flanders in confusion. "That's not right, Dean. Where is Boss Day? Aren't there 3 people in our academy? How come it has become 2? After this, Mahanjan also looked at Flanders with a puzzled face, and even Lee Yusung, who had closed his eyes and pretended to sleep, opened his eyes with a questioning look on his face. Chapter 72, Killing Intent. Except for Tang San and Flanders, no one else knew about Daimyo Bay's affairs. After all, this was hurtful, and it would not sound good to tell others. As the dean of the academy, he actually abandoned his own disciples for the disciples of his former friend. If this matter were to spread, Shrek Academy would probably be ruined tomorrow. Facing the puzzled and inquiring looks of the crowd, Tang San's face changed slightly, and his eyes also looked at Flanders, but he found that Flanders' face did not change at all, and he was still extremely calm and indifferent. You are talking about Mu Bei. Flanders shook his head, with a trace of regret on his face. Mu Bei had something to do, so he went home first. It happened to be a holiday at that time, so he didn't have time to tell you. Ah. Hearing Flanders' words, Ma Hongzhen's face suddenly fell. As a good brother who went to whores with Dame Mu Bei all day, and went in and out of drinking and sex places, although the quality and quantity of his whores were not as good as Dame Mu Bei, he at least had a companion in this academy. Now that Flanders actually said that Dame Mu Bei was gone, Ma Hongzhen seemed to have lost his comrade, his face full of sadness. Then Dean, do you know when Day Boss will be back? Oscar asked curiously. Not sure. Flanders shook his head, his face not red and his heart not beating. Mu Bei didn't tell me the specific time, he just told me that he was going home. After all, you all know that Mu Bei's identity is not simple. Okay. Ma Hongzhen and Oscar looked uncomfortable. The relationship between the two of them and Dame Mu Bei was very good. Now that they have lost their good partner, their mood is naturally low. Tang San frowned when he heard what Flanders said. That guy's identity is not simple. Could it be that there are forces behind him? Exclamation mark. Tang San's heart tightened. If he had known it earlier, he would have killed that guy directly. Now that he has cut off his life and made a mortal enemy with him, if there is a chance in the future, that guy will definitely come to avenge me. Perhaps I should intercept him and kill him directly on the way back to eliminate future troubles. Dame Mu Bei had just left Soto City. Even with a carriage, he would not have been able to go far. In addition, he was currently seriously injured. If he chased him, he should be able to catch up. Tang San thought in his heart, his eyes cold. The third article of Tang Sect Zuanshan Baolu General Outline. If you are sure that the opponent is an enemy, as long as he has a way to die, do not show mercy, otherwise it will only add to your troubles. In Tang San's view, he and Dame Mu Bei are already in a life and death relationship. Even if it is not, Dame Mu Bei's previous actions against Xiao Wu and him have already led to his death. Moreover, now that Dame Mu Bei is seriously injured, he is absolutely sure that he can get rid of Dame Mu Bei. Dame Mu Bei's surname is Day, he must be from the Xingluo Day family. However, just as Tang San was thinking, a voice that sounded a little stiff and a little weird came from outside the door. Everyone was puzzled. They only felt that this voice was strange and not familiar at all. It was obviously not someone from the academy, but Tang San and Flanders had a happy look on their faces. What caught his eye was a middle-aged man with a stiff face and a straight back. He looked a little dull at first glance, but in fact, his deep black eyes revealed a bit of anxiety. The man who came was Tang San's teacher, Master Yu Xiao Gang. Teacher. Tang San exclaimed, why are you here? Haha, I knew it was you. Xiao Gang, coming quickly. Flanders greeted him with joy. Come on, everyone, you haven't seen him before. Let me introduce you. This is my old friend, and also Tang San's teacher. You can just call him Master. Almost everyone in the Soul Master world calls him that. Master? Ma Hongzhen and Oscar looked at each other, and obviously saw the sneer in each other's eyes. The difference between their soul power and Yu Xiao Gang's was not much, and they could clearly feel the soul power of Yu Xiao Gang, the great soul master. Such a guy was actually given the title of master. However, seeing the dean's enthusiasm, the two of them were very smart and didn't say anything, but their eyes kept moving between Yu Xiao Gang and Tang San, with strange expressions. Li Yusong stood up and looked at Yu Xiao Gang with some surprise. So you are the master. Hello, I'm Li Yusong, a teacher at Shrek Academy. The master's tone is always so calm, and his stiff face barely squeezed out a smile. He nodded to Li Yusong, and then walked to Tang San's side. The Dame Mu Bei you are talking about should be a descendant of the Day family of the Xingluo royal family. I think his return this time is for the royal family's internal affairs. Xingluo royal family? Fuck, Day boss is actually a prince? Hiss, I said that day boss usually spends money lavishly and doesn't feel sorry at all, but he is actually a descendant of the royal family. When this was said, everyone was shocked, and Oscar and Mahanjan were even more shocked. That good brother who always brags and chats with me and goes to the red light district with me is actually the prince of the empire? Exclamation mark. How is this possible? Xingluo royal family. Tang San's eyes turned, and the killing intent in his eyes became stronger. In his previous life, he was a man of the rivers and lakes, and he was always afraid of the royal aristocracy. He didn't expect that the person he provoked this time was actually the prince of one of the two great empires in this world. He can't let him go back, absolutely not. Looking at the expressions of the crowd, Yu Xiaogang showed a confident smile. He really liked to tell secrets that ordinary people didn't know. Yu Xiaogang smiled and looked at Flanders. It seems that your academy is very good. Even the Prince of Xingluo is here. I asked Xiaosan to come to you. It's right. No, he has left now, and I don't know when he will come back. Flanders smiled bitterly twice, but a hint of gloom flashed in his eyes. He actually didn't know Dame Yubei's identity, but he knew that Dame Yubei was a nobleman from Xingluo and joined Shrek Academy for some special reasons. But now think about it carefully, he is from Xingluo, and his last name is Day. Who else could it be except the Xingluo royal family? No, if that guy returns to Xingluo, it will be a disaster for me and Shrek. He must die. A trace of murderous intent flashed in Flanders' eyes, but the expression on his face did not change. He smiled and patted Yu Xiaogang on the shoulder. Xiaogang, I will give you the information of these students in our academy later. I'll leave these children to you. Are you going to mess with your broken shop again? If I don't make money, how can I maintain the expenses of the academy? Flanders smiled and talked nonsense casually. His appearance as a profiteer was simply the best mask. Chapter 73 Desperate Pursuit. Dame Yubei sat in the carriage in a daze, letting the driver drive the carriage forward. Although he had hatred in his heart, to be honest, he didn't know where he should go, or where he could go. He certainly couldn't go to Xingluo. He had escaped. For the people in Xingluo, if he went back as a deserter, even if he was not executed directly, he would definitely be ridiculed by the world. In addition to his current state, Dame Yubei's legs trembled subconsciously. He must not be seen in this state by those people in Xingluo. A prince, no matter how poor his qualifications are, no matter how good his character and reputation are, he is still a prince who is qualified to compete for the throne. He is a prince who can carry on the family line for the Day family and is qualified to sit on the highest seat. But what about him now? If his situation is discovered by the people of Xingluo, let alone anything else, the Xingluo royal family will be the first to not forgive him. A eunuch prince, this is a shame for any royal noble. Once exposed, the first people Dame Yubei will have to face are his relatives. Homeless Dame Yubei didn't know where to go and even fell into confusion. He could only let the coachman drive the carriage and walk aimlessly. Sir, there is a village ahead. Should we go there to settle down? The coachman's voice came. Settle down. Dame Yubei showed a confused look, felt a burst of pain in his crotch, and groaned. Okay, let's go and rest first. The coachman drove the carriage forward. Dame Yubei opened the curtains and looked at the road outside with a complicated expression. Confusion, hatred, anger, powerlessness. A few days ago, he was still a dandy boy who played with twin sisters in the midst of feasting and drinking, and was about to achieve the achievement of killing 1,000 people. And now suddenly, a cold breath came. The inexplicable breath made Dame Yubei frown, and he immediately broke away from the sad mood. Although he didn't have an exact destination along the way, the roads the driver took were all official roads, all of which were controlled by the Xiandao Empire. These roads were flat, and there were temporary stops every few sections of the road. There was basically no danger, but inexplicably, Dame Yubei felt a little palpitation. Hey, man, where is our destination? It's Xiandao City, sir. The driver's voice came. Your sir said to just take a walk, but I see that you are dressed in luxurious clothes and have an extraordinary temperament. You must be a nobleman. If you want to relieve your boredom, the first choice is naturally our imperial capital, Xiandao City. Xiandao City. This breath came from behind. Although this is an official road and there should be no danger, Daemubei's heart was alert. In the past 2 days, Daemubei discovered a situation. Although he lost the symbol of masculinity, except for the pain in that place, his other injuries have basically healed. Moreover, what surprised him was that his soul power not only did not decrease, but actually increased. Even his insight and perception increased significantly, which surprised Daemubei. In a trance, a vast soul power attacked from the top of his head. Daemubei's face changed, and he was possessed by the martial spirit at the first time, and the whole person rolled out of the carriage window. Boom. The original carriage suddenly exploded under this soul power, and the driver who was still talking to him a moment ago was directly blown away, and died on the spot. Who is it? Daemubei's face was extremely ugly. 3 yellow, and purple soul rings were wrapped around his body. He was still strong with the white tiger martial spirit, but for some reason, the look between his eyebrows was less domineering and more feminine. The soul power impact came again. Daemubei's face changed again, and the first and third soul rings on his body were activated at the same time. The 2 amplification soul skills, White Tiger Protective Shield and White Tiger Diamond Transformation, were activated at the same time. But even so, Daemubei was still blown away by the soul power impact. When he got up from the ground again, his entire left shoulder had drooped down, obviously broken. The attack did not come from the ground, but from the sky. This soul power is at least dozens of levels higher than mine, and he is very familiar with this soul power. Daemubei's face was extremely gloomy. He raised his head and roared to the sky with a ferocious face. Flender, it's you. Soul masters with the strength of soul saints and the ability to fly are rare. The most important thing is that he feels very familiar with that soul power. As Daemubei shouted angrily, the soul power in the sky suddenly stagnated, which made Daemubei lock on the identity of this guy. Why? I have already followed your instructions and left Shrek. I have already left Soto City. Why do you still want to kill me? Why? We were once teacher and student. Is it worth it for you to go to this extent, just because of a little Tang-san? No reason. The indifferent voice echoed in the air. Daemubei felt a flash in front of his eyes. Flanders with wings spread out on his back had already appeared in front of him. The pressure from the Soul Saint made Daemubei's back covered with cold sweat and his legs trembled. The suppression power of the 7 soul rings was simply not something a little soul master like him could resist. Why? Daemubei gritted his teeth and raised his head to look at Flanders. Flanders had a blank expression on his face, and the soul power suppression on his body became stronger and stronger. I said, no reason. If there must be a reason, it is your identity, a descendant of the Xingluo royal family. Daemubei, do you have a grudge against the Xingluo royal family? Daemubei asked subconsciously, but after thinking about it, he immediately denied this idea. He looked at Flanders' indifferent face and understood everything immediately. He laughed mockingly. So that's it. You are afraid, Flanders. You are afraid. You are afraid of my identity. You are afraid that I will come to trouble you again after returning to Xingluo. Ha 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 ha. Flanders, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Take a good look. Is the road I'm taking the road to Xingluo? Flanders still had no expression on his face. He naturally knew that this was not the road to Xingluo. After all, Xiandao City was located in the center of Xiandao Empire. The road Daemubei was taking now could be said to be completely opposite to Xingluo. But even so, Flanders was not going to let him go. As one of the former Golden Iron Triangle, Flanders had seen too many things. None of those guys who let the tiger go back to the mountain had a good end. Even the 3 of them had learned a lesson. In order to prevent accidents, he must nip the danger in the bud. Chapter 74 Daemubei, I want revenge. Looking at the indifferent Flanders, Daemubei's face showed a miserable look. He knew that he could not escape death today. Facing a soul saint who was determined to kill, a mere soul lord had no chance of escaping. What awaited him was only death. But obviously, Daemubei did not want to die like this. The light of the soul ring flickered on his body, and he was ready to fight to the death. But unfortunately, under his absolute strength, he couldn't even fight to the death and sacrifice his life. The condensed soul power was directly dispersed by Flanders, and the soul power pressure almost suffocated Daemubei. Go ahead, my good Dean. Bei showed a miserable smile and closed his eyes in despair, but the fatal attack was delayed. Bei was puzzled. Judging from Flanders' current situation, he would not be able to show mercy to his men. But why? Bei opened his eyes in confusion, but found that a person wearing a black robe and emitting blood-red soul power appeared in front of him. Flanders, who was originally going to kill Bei, was now like a dead dog, being suppressed to the ground by the soul power of the black-robed man, unable to move. The strong soul power was like a vast ocean. Although it flashed away, Bei still saw the 9 soul rings hovering on the black-robed man. Seal Douluo, your majesty. Flanders, who was pressed to the ground, tried his best to raise his head. He gasped and struggled to look at the killing knight. Don't get me wrong, I have nothing to do with this kid, it's just that someone doesn't want him to die. The killing knight glanced at Bei, who struggled to get up from the ground, and said calmly, but your academy is interesting. Such a mean and evil style. Aren't all the people you, the dean, teaching evil soul masters? Your majesty, did I ask you to speak? Bang! The 9 rings appeared instantly, and under the crushing of the vast soul power, Flanders' head was directly inserted into the ground. The killing knight did not even look at Flanders, but came to Bei's side, took out a blood-red damaged book from his arms, and threw it in front of Bei. This is. Bei trembled and climbed up from the ground, holding up the black and red hardcover of the book. A special cultivation secret method. The killing knight said calmly, your foundation is damaged, and you are no longer a complete person. This cultivation secret method is called Soul Devouring Blood Sutra. Although it is not very advanced, it is very suitable for you. If you practice well, you may be able to reshape the incompleteness. Reshape the incompleteness? Bei's eyes widened, holding the Soul Devouring Blood Sutra, as if he had found a treasure. He flipped through the secret book anxiously, roughly scanning the contents, and soon his face turned pale. This Soul Devouring Blood Sutra, this, devouring the soul of a soul master, to make up for oneself, this kind of cultivation method is simply extremely evil. Only the most cruel and terrifying evil soul masters will practice such a secret book. Once he practices this secret book, he will be despised by thousands of people, and even wanted by the 2 empires and the spirit hall. But, do you still care about these things now? The killing knight spoke faintly, and Bei's body trembled violently. Yes. Does he still care about these things now? A disabled person, a guy who almost lost his life, would still care about these things? Exclamation mark. I want revenge. I want revenge. Bei's eyes were covered with bloodshot, his hands tightly holding the soul-devouring blood sutra, and his roared words were like the roar of a beast. Very good, that's the attitude I want. The killing knight snorted and laughed, pointing at Flanders, who was pressed to the ground by his soul power and couldn't move. Let me see your determination. Flanders looked at Bei, who was communicating with the killing knight, and felt trembling all over. He wanted to struggle, but couldn't move at all. Bei stood up, took a step, and walked towards Flanders. His legs were somewhat numb due to the long-term collapse, and one arm was drooping, but he was still walking, step by step towards Flanders. His eyes were fixed on Flanders, and his martial spirit had already possessed him. In a few steps, he came to Flanders. Bei. Flanders looked at Bei in horror. That profiteer face could no longer suppress the fear in his heart, and he forced a smile. I won't kill you like this, Dean. Bei's hideous face showed a creepy smile. Flanders still had some luck in his heart, but before he could speak, a sharp pain suddenly surged into his heart. Flanders screamed miserably, and the 2 teals of his crotch were smashed by Bei's tiger palm. Flanders screamed like a pig being slaughtered, and the severe pain almost made him faint. He couldn't believe that Bei would be so cruel and directly slap him to end his sexual happiness for the rest of his life. He has not yet expressed his feelings to Erlong. He has not yet vented his love. He has no offspring, and from this moment on, these things that he originally did not have, will have nothing to do with him in the future. Does it hurt? Bei showed a bloodthirsty smile. Although you are not Tang-san, you watched Tang-san treat me so cruelly, and later you wanted to kill me, your student, for Tang-san. You should enjoy this taste even more. Flanders almost fainted, but Bei's means did not stop. He landed a palm on Flanders' wrists, smashing Flanders' hands. Then he opened his mouth wide and used his second soul skill, White Tiger Fierce Light Wave, on Flanders' legs, smashing Flanders' legs into pieces. In just a few breaths, Flanders, the Soul Saint, was destroyed by Daemube into a human pig. Your Majesty, I'm not going to kill this guy. I'm going to use him to try the soul-devouring blood. Daemube's voice was a little hoarse. He looked at Flanders and then respectfully spoke to the Killing Knight. But when he looked up, the Killing Knight was nowhere to be found. On the empty official road, there was only him and Flanders, who had fainted from the pain of the broken limb. The breeze blew past, making the prince from the Zingluo Empire a little sober. He looked at Flanders, who had fainted under him, and then looked at the soul-devouring blood sutra in his hand. He stood up and kowtowed 3 times to the place where the Killing Knight had just been. Then, he grabbed the half-dead Flanders, and with a bloodthirsty smile, jumped off the official road, and disappeared into the bushes. Chapter 75, Immortal Grass Ambition. The carriage was moving slowly on the official road. Looking at the vegetation that was gradually increasing around him, Fang Yuan began to get a little excited. They had already entered the territory of the Sunset Forest. It would not be long before they could reach the center of the Sunset Forest. By then, they would be able to encounter the immortal grass. To be honest, Fang Yuan was actually unsure about his first test, passing the Hell Road and obtaining the Killing God domain. After all, although he was nominally a Killing God, he did not have the Killing God domain after all. He would still be suppressed in the Killing City and could not use his soul skills. Without the blessing of soul skills, his combat effectiveness would be greatly suppressed. Although the Killing City could not suppress the power of the soul bone, Fang Yuan still did not have much confidence in his heart. However, if he could obtain the immortal grass, absorb the power of the immortal grass, and then go to the Hell Road, Fang Yuan's grasp would be greatly improved. The reason was that the power of the foundation of becoming a god in the original work was so strong that almost everyone who took the immortal grass had himself transformed, and even his martial soul transformed, returning to his original nature. The 8-angled black ice grass and the flaming apricot gave Tangsun the attributes of being invulnerable to water and fire, and being resistant to all poisons. The Kilo tulip helped Ning Rangran complete her martial soul transformation, and she was promoted directly from the 7 treasures Glazed Tower to the 9 treasures Glazed Tower, breaking through the clan restrictions, and laying the foundation for her future promotion to the title Douluo level. The Kirang Tangshan Chrysanthemum and the Narcissus Jade Muscle and Bone are all top-level body refining medicines that nourish muscles and bones, move ki to the limbs, and circulate blood through the 8 meridians. There are also top-level immortal herbs such as Coxcomb Phoenix Sunflower, fragrant Kilo Fairy products, Longing for Autumn Water Dew, and Acacia Heartbroken Red. It can be said that, as long as he can successfully take down the medicine garden of the old poisoner Dugubo, his foundation and martial soul will get a qualitative leap. The evolutionary form of the 3 Megatama Sharingan. When Fang Yuan thought of the power of the 3 Megatama Sharingan after its evolution, his heart was hot. Holy Sun, we have entered the center of the Sunset Forest, but the mountain filled with poisonous fog has not appeared yet. The Killing Knight shouted outside the carriage, and Fang Yuan nodded. Don't worry, that place is the lair of Poison Douluo. The location is hidden, and it will take time to find it. Poison Douluo? The Killing Knight was slightly stunned, and he was obviously not familiar with this name. However, the faces of the big and small cats in the carriage changed slightly. Holy Sun, is the Poison Douluo you are talking about that person? Zhu Zuan asked in a low voice, with a little fear in his eyes. Yes, it's the guy you are thinking of. Fang Yuan nodded. After all, he is the only one in the world who uses poison as a title. Is that guy strong? The Killing Knight asked curiously. He had been in the Killing City for too long, and had never heard of the name of Poison Douluo, but from Zhu Zuan's tone, that guy seemed to be a tough opponent. Captain, don't worry. He is just a newly promoted title Douluo in recent years. His strength has just broken through the level of 90. It is nothing to you. As if he heard the concerns of the Killing Knight, Fang Yuan smiled and said, besides, the title of that guy is poison. Captain, you should also know his methods. It's just using poison. For you, isn't it a piece of cake? Son, you are really. The killing knight shook his head helplessly, without any contempt in his heart. There is no rubbish among the soul masters who can cultivate to the level of titled Douluo. Even if the so-called poison Douluo's soul power is not as good as his own, he should not be underestimated. Fang Yuan smiled and explained the characteristics of poison Douluo to the killing knight. Poison Douluo, with poison as his title. His best means is naturally poison. This guy's known as the world's most difficult poison Douluo. He is the first famous green phosphorus snake soul master in history. He is known as the world's #1 poison soul master. In terms of deterrence, he ranks among the top titled Douluo. Once his poison is fully released, it can kill the lives of a city in an instant. In a group battle, it is indeed unparalleled in power, but in a single fight, it is very ordinary. That's why I said that you don't have to worry too much, Captain. There will be no problem in taking him down. Even if the killing knight takes down the poisoned Douluo, as long as he can hold him back, that's enough. As long as the killing knight can hold Douluo back, Fang Yuan can enter the ice and fire yin yang eye and plunder all those immortal herbs. What? You said the poison fog formation? Just kidding. Poison Douluo Douluo Fang Yuan might be afraid of it. As for this poison fog formation, it's not worth mentioning. The reason is very simple. Fang Yuan has a blue-silver emperor and the right leg bone of the blue-silver emperor. Whether it is a purification power carried by the blue-silver emperor itself, or the endless power given by the right leg bone of the blue-silver emperor, they almost have a natural restraining effect on toxins. It can be said that as long as Fang Yuan is not killed on the spot, or directly dissolved by poison, Fang Yuan can rely on the blue-silver emperor and the endless characteristics of the right leg bone of the blue-silver emperor, which can be regenerated by the spring breeze and reborn. However, Fang Yuan estimated that it would not be so troublesome at that time. He still has great confidence in the killing knight. Although Douluo was indeed brilliant in the later battles, he was unstoppable in poisoning a city. But in the early stage, he couldn't even beat the Chrysanthemum Pass, and he was really the last of the titled Douluo. The killing knight is a real level 95 titled Douluo anyway, and it should not be a big problem to deal with the titled Douluo. What the Holy Sun wants is in the lair of the poisoned Douluo. Yes. Fang Yuan nodded, without hiding anything, and smiled frankly. So when the time comes, we will have to rely on the captain to do more. The implication is that he is going to fight a titled Douluo. The killing knight sighed lightly and said faintly, the Holy Sun is really bold to set his sights on a titled Douluo. Hey, isn't it because I have your support, Captain? Otherwise, even if I have the courage of the sky, I, a small soul sect, would not dare to set my sights on a titled Douluo. You kid. The carriage moved forward slowly, and Fang Yuan lay in Nightingale's arms, enjoying the massage of the big and small cats. Suddenly, the carriage stopped slightly. Have you found the place, Captain? Fang Yuan stuck his head out excitedly, but found that a group of people had appeared in front of his carriage without knowing when. A blazing firebird appeared next to the killing knight who was originally driving the carriage. The blazing firebird was hanging at the feet of the killing knight, and it was obviously dead. Not long after, a circle of deep purple soul rings floated out from the snake. Looking at the dead blazing firebird, the people in front of the carriage were full of resentment. One of the girls even stepped forward and scolded the killing knight and Fang Yuan. That's the soul beast we want to hunt. How can you guys steal our soul rings? Soul ring? Fang Yuan frowned slightly. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.